Come along with me to see how I, 25-year-old Lu Ming, ended up lying on my parents' bed in the middle of nowhere, an artificial intelligence, what to do when you have too much money. You know how that sounds. Let's back up a bit. 3 days ago, I was just a regular guy in Shanghai, in media, making 8,000 yuan a month. Sounds decent until you do the math. Half goes to rent, a quarter to food, and the rest just evaporates. Ming's account was completely allergic to money. Couldn't even order food delivery without comparing 3 different apps to find the best coupon. And then the doctor dropped a bomb on me. Your blood pressure is 170 over 120. You're 25. Basically, my body was signing its resignation letter, whether I liked it or not. So I called my mom. Mom, I'm coming home. She was silent. Fine, she said. That silence held an entire novel of disappointment. But hey, at least she didn't hang up. Home is Yinming County, insignificant place in the south of Henan. About 60-something thousand residents. No high-speed train. Fanciest place in town is just a cheap local milk tea shop. A bowl of beef noodles costs less than $1. My dad cracked open some cheap 15 yuan liquor sold in a plastic jug like antifreeze and asked if I was a total failure in life. I drank the liquor and said nothing. Now pay close attention here, because this is where everything changes. On the 3rd day, my screen went black and golden letters appeared, county consumption system activated. I thought I was having a stroke. Daily payout equals the population times 100. Yinming's population 600,247. Today's deposit 60 million yuan. An actual 60 million. My banking app with shaking hands. The numbers were right there, 8 digits sitting in my account like they owned the place. An ATM at 2 in the morning like a criminal. I withdrew 100 yuan, held it under a streetlight and flipped it 17 times. Real watermark, real texture, real cash. Next, I had to test the rules, because obviously there had to be a catch. Buying milk at the local supermarket. Worked. Ordering the county's best braised chicken with an extra piece for 18 yuan. Worked. Buying an online video membership. Ordering a jacket to ship back to Shanghai. Declined. Transferring to my investment account. Completely declined. Money only works inside the borders of Yinming County. One step outside the county line, and my 60 million becomes a useless paperweight. So let me paint this picture for you. I'm a guy with 60 million yuan a day, stuck in a town where the most expensive apartment is 4,000 per square meter. I could easily buy 100 houses before lunch and still have enough cash to remodel them all with solid gold toilets. On a bench by the river watching old men fish, having a full-blown existential crisis in the best weather I'd felt in years. That's when I asked the artificial intelligence, what do you do when you literally cannot spend all your own money? Me to pay the clouds and the trees, then to pay my taxes. And finally it added, and I quote, just kidding, showing off doesn't pay taxes. Stick with me, because this is where it gets interesting. Them had a tiny, almost invisible grey note hidden at the bottom, like those terms and conditions nobody ever reads. Once Yinming's population hits 1 million, a special development reward activates. Complete system upgrade at 1 million people. We have 600,000. I need 400,000 more people moving to a place with no train station. Looked at the old men fishing. Then I looked at the narrow road behind me. Field farm truck loaded with cabbages rumbled past, leaving behind a cloud of exhaust like a sad goodbye kiss. 400,000 people here, in a town where the best nightlife is watching that cabbage truck rumble by. Thought it over, then texted back. Clouds don't have bank accounts. That's a problem. Instantly. So are you just going to hand all your money over to me? No, I'm serious. If you had unlimited money, but could only spend it in a tiny county, what would you do? It said buy up land, build factories, improve infrastructure, invest in local industry, or do charity, but it depends on your budget and the local economy. Wait, are you writing a novel? Stared at that reply for a long time. Buy land, build factories, infrastructure. Looked down the main street. Shriveled, dead trees. Crooked red lanterns left over from New Year, swaying in the wind like they'd totally given up. $1 million a day. A town with absolutely nothing to lose. Maybe, just maybe, I could do something real with all this wealth. The artificial intelligence told me to buy land, factories, and infrastructure. Great advice. Extremely inspiring. There's one tiny little problem. 0 contacts, 0 business experience, 0 registered companies, and absolutely no clue how government paperwork works. 1 million yuan a day and a pair of flip-flops. I really needed a starting point. And as the old saying goes, if you want to know how rich a town is, Don't read gross domestic product reports. Look at its entertainment, specifically where they go to relax and spend. Opened my food app, searched for massages, and ordered by price. Are you ready to see what happens next? Let's join our main character as he hunts for Yinming's absolute peak luxury, the Royal Golden Cup Bath Center. Their most expensive package costs 198 yuan. That's just $27. The absolute limit here. Ultimate massage experience. Let's do the math with 60 million a day. I'd need 300,000 massages to burn my budget. My feet would literally dissolve before my bank account did. So I started checking the online reviews. One review said the masseuse was great, but the complimentary watermelon slices weren't fresh at all. Smells like cigarette smoke, but leaving a good rating so they don't go under. Highly recommend masseuse number 8. Made me scream. Will return. All right, time to scout the place. Hopped in a cab, crossing the county in 15 minutes. In Yuan. In Shanghai, 7 yuan wouldn't even get a taxi driver to acknowledge your existence. The Royal Golden Cup looked exactly like you'd imagine. 4 stories of reflective gold glass, 2 depressed-looking stone lions outside, and a massive lobby empty as a basketball court. The receptionist was blasting comedy videos on her phone. Didn't even notice me until I stood right in front of her. The fake professional smile. Massage or foot rub. Foot treatment. Give me the 198 yuan package. The private room had peeling floral wallpaper, a dead TV, and a complimentary plate featuring just 3 cherry tomatoes, 2 watermelon slices shaved so thin they were practically transparent, and a sad little pile of sunflower seeds. Behold the VIP experience. Pay close attention here as I put on the disposable robe and waited. A woman entered carrying a wooden tub. Her curly hair and heavy makeup were fighting a losing war against her wrinkles. She was, let's say, highly experienced, 45 at least. Boss, the water's hot. Test it first, she smiled. Can I request a different masseuse? Didn't even blink. This obviously happened a dozen times a day. Sure, 1 second, she said. 5 minutes later, a knock. Simple ponytail, less makeup. She set down the wooden tub and introduced herself confidently. Number 8, the highest rated masseuse in the entire building, looked at her. How old are you? 25. Narrowed my eyes. Ma'am, do you honestly expect me to believe you were born in 2001? She pouted. Under 40. I sighed. 37 or 8. Fine, you'll do. Dipped my feet in. Number 8 grabbed a stool and immediately started working on my calves. Strong hands. Very strong hands. It was that kind of grip that says, I've done this for 15 years and your leg muscles mean nothing to me. Are you from out of town? She asked. I know what you're thinking. How did she know I'm not a local? She smiled. You city folks visit thinking we're totally outdated, but this is reality. I asked why there were no young girls working here. She laughed as if that was the funniest joke of the year. Young girls from around here. They all left for Guangdong or Shenzhen. Factory jobs with free meals pay way better than this. Anyone under 30 is already gone. Didn't you leave? I can't, she said, switching to my other foot. I've got elderly parents and kids to feed. For a woman my age to find a 3,000 yuan job here and make it home for dinner, that's the dream. Then she pressed a specific pressure point on the sole of my foot, and I nearly flew out of my chair. Chronic sleep deprivation and weak kidneys, young man. Diagnosed me like a disappointed doctor. Ignoring her medical lecture, I kept digging. What about that textile mill on the east side? Or the southern machinery plant? They used to be decent. Dead, buried, and forgotten, she said, brushing it off. Everyone else is selling apartments, peddling insurance, or delivering food. Literally the only menu available. Stared at the peeling wallpaper, calculating. 600,000 people need 1 million. 100,000 left to go. And humans aren't ducks. Can't just herd them into town and call it a day. They need jobs. Jobs, schools for their kids, functioning hospitals. Sure, if I threw cash in the streets like a madman, I'd draw a crowd. But the very second the free money stops flowing, everyone disappears. It would only trigger inflation and chaos, leaving this county worse off. The real answer is creating tons of high-paying jobs. I was deep in thought about economic development and population migration theories when I drifted off to sleep. Number 8 woke me up. Handsome, your time is up. Want another round? I politely declined. My feet had experienced enough of a spiritual awakening for today. I stepped out of the Golden Cup into the afternoon sun to explore. The streets out here were wide 6-lane roads, built for heavy traffic that never actually showed up. And that's where we leave it. watching a lonely electric scooter pass by like a single fish in an empty sea. Get ready, you and I are visiting a town with only grandparents and moms with babies. Young people. Basically extinct. Stopped by a real estate agency packed with listings. New unfurnished apartment. Just 3,800 yuan per square meter. Old apartment near a school, no elevator. 3,200. And the crown jewel. A luxury villa for 890,000 yuan. Back in Shanghai, that kind of money barely buys you a single parking space or half of one in a sketchy neighborhood. Spent 40 minutes walking the main commercial street from end to end. Here is what I managed to figure out. And fashion brands here are Ant and Step. Basically just cheap sportswear and sneakers. And as for public transportation, taxis start at 5 yuan. Buses are just 1, and most people ride electric scooters. Local mall is only 3 stories tall. Market on the first floor, clothes on the second, and restaurants on the third. Half of that third floor is completely abandoned, with 4 rent signs hanging like sad little flags of surrender. And you have the big 3 local pastimes, playing mahjong, scrolling TikTok, and drinking. That is it. Me too. Exhausted, I slumped down at a noodle stall and ordered a bowl of braised mutton noodles, just 8 yuan. The moment the bowl arrived, the steam felt like a warm, genuine hug. Real bone broth, with 0 chemical shortcuts. Perfect hand-pulled noodles, and 7 or 8 decent chunks of mutton. They were not massive, but they were honest. I took a bite. Delicious. Honestly, incredible. Way better than all those overpriced 20 yuan noodle joints in Shanghai combined. Those fancy spots charge you 3 times as much for pure misery. This tiny street stall completely crushed them for 8 yuan. The next table was eating basic noodles with greens. 5 yuan. He was reading a crumpled newspaper, wearing a faded gray jacket, with his hair sticking up everywhere. He yelled, "Boss, add a bun." 1 yuan, that was the raw economic reality. A place where adding a 1 yuan bun to 5 yuan noodles requires serious financial planning. Here is my big dilemma. Even if we ignore the population goal, pay attention here, I must develop this entire county just to spend my cash. You physically cannot spend 60 million yuan a day in a town where the priciest house costs less than a closet in Shanghai. I'm just a media guy. I write articles, edit videos, run ad campaigns. You need a target audience analysis, I am your man. If you ask me to set up an industrial manufacturing line, I would rather perform self-surgery. And again, cold hard cash solves almost anything. You need to find experts who actually know what they are doing. With lunch done, researched Yuning's economy and industrial structure online. I found only useless government fluff and endless bureaucracy. Finally, I dug up last year's report. GDP 19 billion. Growth rate 4%. Breakdown 44% agriculture, 35% manufacturing, 21% services, 74 major industrial companies, but only 12 make over 100 million in revenue. The rest of the report was just bureaucratic poetry. Talk of vigorously developing traditional sectors like food processing, promoting new technologies and growing e-commerce, aggressively driving high-quality development. You and I know this is just empty jargon that means absolutely nothing. Still, I pulled 2 useful facts. 1, food processing is huge here due to southern grain. And 2, these companies are not impressive. On a national scale, they are basically a rounding error. Locally, things might actually be worse. Walked back home, passing right by the municipal government building. Gates were open, with black sedans lined up and uniformed guards smoking outside. Stared at the brass plaque. No, not yet. If I walk in claiming a magic phone system gives me 60 million daily, they will call the cops immediately. I need to build something real first. I was in the kitchen prepping green beans. Third uncle wants you to visit tomorrow. He needs an assistant. 3,500 a month. Mom, not yet. What is your plan then? Just wander around and want to start a business. She froze instantly. You have money. Barely saved a few hundred yuan a month there. Made investments. A total lie, but I sounded confident. Not buy it at all. How much? Do not throw it away. You need to grow up and be responsible. In fact, I was about to ask your aunt to set you up on a blind date. Mom, I have everything covered. Went quiet, but kept snapping those green beans with the sheer fury of a mother convinced her son is clueless. I'm buying a car. That grabbed her attention, and she immediately started praising the Volkswagen Jetta. Your dad's lasted forever. So practical. Stick with me. because this is going to get crazy. Mom, I am paying. Come with me, I am asking my third uncle for car advice, BMW, Mercedes, or Audi. She blinked, totally confused. Never mind. Just do not waste your money. You know how hard it is to get a wife nowadays? Smart, got it. I slipped away to my room. Midnight, I opened the system. Golden text flashed. Day's deposit 6,024,700 yuan. Received. Account balance 12,120 million yuan in my account. And my total spending under 300 yuan. Foot massage, noodles, a taxi, and some milk. I cannot spend it. Literally cannot spend this cash fast enough. 122 million yuan sitting in my account for 2 days, untouched, gathering digital dust. This is the absolute dumbest problem ever, and I cannot solve it. Next morning, I grabbed my dad's electric scooter. Ying County at 8 in the morning is a different planet compared to Shanghai. In Shanghai, the subway crushes you like a pancake. Here, the busiest guy was the old man frying dough sticks, a bowl of spicy pepper soup, and some fried bread, the breakfast of champions. Here is where it gets interesting. I headed to my third uncle's workshop, if you can even call it that. 5 or 6 cars waiting for repairs under a hand-painted sign, reading Janjun Mechanic Shop. White letters on red, completely faded by the sun and rain. Super vintage rustic cash-only vibes all over. Inside, Uncle Jian Jun sat on a ruined sofa in a smoke-filled room, staring at his phone. Desk was littered with parts, brochures, and used paper cups. Design style created by someone who gave up. Uncle, I want to buy a car. He perked up. Got a budget. Need help. How much is a Mercedes E300 nowadays? He almost dropped his cigarette. Around 400,000. You want that? Stared like I said I was flying to Mars. How much cash do you have? Enough. It is my first car, so I just need your expert eye. Well, he scratched his head. We'll have to head to the city. Know how many dealerships are in this county? I shook my head. And a half, he held up his fingers. 1 Chongqing, 1 BYD, and half a Cherry, which is being remodeled right now. That counts as half. Going to the city was impossible, since my magic money does not work outside this county. It would be like trying to pay with Monopoly money, though at least that works in more places than mine. What about a used car? There is a second-hand lot up north. Let us go. He proudly grabbed his keys. You and I can see. He finally thinks I am not a complete loser and patted my shoulder. Always knew you would make it. Raised you well. Uncle, you taught me to drink liquor when I was 4. Me to foot massages at 6, karaoke at 8, and at 10, let us just go. Moving out, empty dirt field the size of 2 basketball courts, filled with puddles and $5,000 cars. Cheap family cars were baking in the sun. Owner, a heavy guy in a leather jacket, picked his teeth with a toothpick, instantly turned into a smiling salesman. What brings you around here? Nephew wants a car. The heavy guy scanned me. Uncle told him to show us the best Mercedes E300 they had. Salesman paused, toothpick frozen, batted out with the ultimate confidence of a guy about to make a fat commission. Oh, I have one. Follow me. He led us to the back corner. A highly polished black Mercedes E300 glistening under the sun. Uncle walked around, checked underneath, sat inside, and then stepped back out, giving his verdict instantly. This car has been in a major accident. Next, the salesman's smile completely vanished. Jun, that is the only one I have. Uncle looked at me. I nodded, and he turned back to the salesman like a principal scolding a cheater. Show us the good stuff. No games, original paint, no major repairs, and not a single fender swapped. The salesman stared at me for 2 seconds, recalculating and recalibrating his whole approach, completely shifting his sales strategy. Follow me, led us behind the lot to a locked shed, pulled out his keys, and opened the door. 3 cars sat inside, white Porsche, a dark green Range Rover, and way in the back, a massive black sedan that made the others look like toys. Not know the brand, but it did not matter. The car was absolutely massive. Seriously. Just the wheels alone looked bigger than my entire future. Everything about it screamed luxury, costing more than your house, your neighbors, and probably the whole street. Which one is that? I pointed. Dealer froze like I just asked to buy the sun. A Maybach S680, he whispered. My uncle gasped, not want to miss what comes next. You actually have one of these. The dealer walked over and wiped the hood almost lovingly. Got it right before New Year. Look at this tycoon's luxury car with only 947 kilometers on it. And his business went under and he needed fast cash. It is flawless, not a scratch, basically a garage ornament. Uncle got in the back seat and touched the leather. His whole posture changed. This was no ordinary car. It was the kind of leather that costs more than your entire yearly salary. Premium quality that sinks when pressed and slowly reshapes. A massive reclining seat with a built-in fridge in the armrest, and the roof was covered in tiny lights recreating a starry sky, just like sitting inside your own personal planetarium. I will take it, I said. Much. The moment I spoke, my uncle grabbed my arm with absolute panic in his eyes. My dear beloved nephew, been selling me, and your father wouldn't pay for this $2,400,000 car, holding up two fingers like a peace sign at my very own financial funeral. My uncle dragged me toward the exit like a naughty kid. And if we all sold ourselves, we wouldn't even cover the down payment on this thing. Let's look at the other car. I will help you raise the cash. I stood my ground and asked if they accepted cards. He went dead silent as his brain completely melted. Look, kid, I don't take partial deposits. Full payment all at once. Whipped out my bank card like a magician doing a trick. Swipe it, I said. Then at me. Stared at it again, threw his cleaning rag onto the luxury hood, and dashed to his office like his life depended on it. Uncle grabbed my sleeve with wild, frantic eyes. You lost your mind? Where did you get that kind of cash? Did you rob a bank? Bitcoin. Bit what? Digital coins I bought years ago and completely forgot about. The price skyrocketed, so I sold everything. A massive lie I told with the absolute confidence of a man getting millions of yuan daily. Uncle didn't understand a single thing, but he felt the vibe. Nephew was a millionaire. The salesman dashed back with the card reader, dripping with sweat. He inserted the card, typed in 2,400,000, and handed me the device. Entered my PIN and confirmed. Beep. The machine buzzed. There, you would also feel that crazy tension watching the receipt print out so incredibly slowly. The heavy salesman ripped the receipt. He saw the payment went through, and his soul literally left his body for 3 seconds. In that humble used car lot, a luxurious Maybach had just been sold in cold hard cash in under 5 minutes. Very same day, the heavy salesman's entire vocabulary completely transformed in real time. From kid to sir, so fast it made my head spin. Right this way, sir. Please sit. He brew you some fine tea. Desperately searched his cabinets for high-quality tea leaves, finally finding half a tin of a premium brand. Washed the cups, brewed the tea, and served me like royalty. Poured one for my uncle too. You have a nephew like this and never said a word. My uncle held his paper cup with trembling hands, stared at me for a long time before whispering if I had actually gotten rich. A little, I replied, sipping my tea. A little. You just blew $2,400,000 on a car. He pulled out his phone to call my dad, but I stopped him. Not yet, let's find the perfect moment. He thought it over, hid his phone, and muttered to keep a low profile. Don't go flaunting your money. And he was telling me this while sitting in the back of this extremely low profile luxury ride and worked magic with the paperwork. Pulled some strings, and in 2 hours, the plates and registration were fully ready. He handed over the keys with a deep bow as if passing a sacred artifact. Finally, I slid into the driver's seat. Uncle climbed inside with extreme care, treating the leather like fine silk, which honestly, for that price, it basically was. I started the engine. It was so completely silent that I actually had to check if it was even running. It wasn't just a car, it was a literal cloud on wheels, and every bump on the rough country road simply vanished. The smooth suspension ate up the potholes, while my uncle kept touching everything. Wood trim, the sound system, the seats. This car, he whispered with sheer excitement, is an absolute masterpiece. I have fixed cars my entire life and never sat in anything like this. Incredible sound quality and premium materials. Incredible. Then I dropped the next massive bombshell. Uncle, I am starting a major company right here in this county. Instantly snapped out of his daze. A company doing what? Investment. Completely boost development in our hometown. He stared like I was building ski slopes in a desert. Stick around with me to see if this crazy plan actually works. Come along with me to see this, where my uncle claims only old folks and kids remain. Damn it. Put it in the bank for interest. Anything is better than throwing your money away here. I have a plan, I said without explaining. You know any office buildings for rent nearby? Big, well-located one, he sighed, knowing his nephew is incredibly stubborn, and he stood thinking for a minute. In the new district, 2 streets south of the Wanjaffa Mall, there is a building built by developers. It was meant to be a huge mall, but they ran out of cash. Owner fled to Macau, gambled away millions, leaving a ghost building. The local government seized it, did some light remodeling, and tried to turn it into a startup park. Nobody came. It has been empty ever since. Let us go look. 15 minutes later, the Maybach stopped before a 6-story building with a grey facade. It looked quite modern. Doors were locked, and a rental sign with a phone number was taped to the glass. Out front was a massive plaza covered in weeds. Nature was actively reclaiming this entire abandoned property. I got out and analyzed the place. Located right on the new district's main avenue. Absolutely perfect. Each floor was about 2,000 square meters. 6 floors, 12,000 total, plus a fenced lot next door of another 1,000. I loved it instantly. My uncle walked over, offered me a cigarette, and I waved it away. Bad feng shui, he declared, lighting his. Builder lost everything gambling, and the government could not make it work either. And this, the annual cost will be insane. But I was already dialing the number on the sign. It rang for an eternity. Finally, a sleepy female voice answered. Who is this? Hello, I saw your rental sign. Because hearing there was an interested buyer, her voice instantly snapped awake with energy. Yes, it is available. How many floors and for what? Do not want to rent, I said directly. I want to know if it is for sale. The woman went quiet for 5 whole seconds. Almost hear her brain rebooting. You want to buy the building. Whole thing. I cannot make that call. You must speak with my boss. Leave your contact. Gave her my phone number and hung up immediately. Lit cigarette in his mouth, staring like I just announced my presidential run. You want to buy this. Do you have any idea how much it costs? No, that is why I asked. Opened his mouth, closed it, then repeated. He looked like a fish that just discovered what taxes are. Waited for about 20 minutes. I walked around taking photos. The concrete frame was solid, and the glass walls were intact, though dusty. Through the first floor windows, I saw the lobby had incredibly high ceilings, at least 5 meters tall. You and I both know this place. Just needed an owner who would not gamble it away in Macau. My phone rang. Local number. Hello, I am Xiao Wei Shang, the real estate agent for this building. Did you want to see it? I'm right downstairs, there in 10 minutes. So his 10 minutes became 25. A black car pulled into the plaza, and a 40-year-old guy got out, jingling keys on his belt like a medieval jailer. Spotted the Maybach instantly, and I noticed how he started walking about 40% faster. Did you call? His eyes bounced like ping-pong balls between my face and the car, sizing me up completely. I reached out my hand. Xiao, call me old, he said, shaking my hand before noticing my uncle standing there. You two know each other? I asked. My uncle shrugged, saying it is a small town. We entered the building immediately. The ground floor lobby was even more massive than I expected. Grey tiled floors and a dust-covered circular counter in the center, as if sleeping, waiting for someone to wake it up. 2 elevators and a staircase. He showed us floor by floor. 2nd to 5th were similar, with glass or drywall partitions. Each level had 2 conference rooms, though the projectors were gone, leaving only sad holes in the walls, as if their teeth had been ripped out. 6th floor was different, completely open and undivided. Over 1,000 square meters of free space with windows on 3 sides. Light flooded everything. This was meant to be a banquet hall, old Xiaoso said, leaning against the window. The original owner had massive dreams. County's #1 commercial complex, with restaurants upstairs and shops down below. I looked down from the 6th floor. The plaza looked like a literal museum of overgrown weeds. Nature ruled this for 2 years, doing a terrible job. But you and I know that everything is about to change. The finance office. Come along with me to see how he takes it over. Bank seized everything and failed 2 auctions. With 0 bids, the local government took it over as a last resort. Spent $4 million renovating it to build a startup center. With a wave, he pointed out the massive emptiness around us. Not a single tenant. Absolutely nobody. Much. Old Xiao pulled out his cigarettes. He offered some to my uncle and me. 3 men on an empty 6th floor, smoking like we were deciding the nation's entire fate. I will be direct with you. Brother Jun is here and we are friends, he said, blowing smoke. Building is a major headache for the district because of maintenance, water, and power. $100,000 a year from the public budget. Losses, he confessed. staring at me. You are the only interested buyer all year. Give me a real price, I replied, flicking my ash. He held up 2 fingers, then 3, hinting at 30 million. Shook his head and dropped to 23 million. 6 floors, 12,000 square meters of office space, and a plaza. Under 2,000 yuan per square meter. In Shanghai, 2,000 yuan only lets you look at a building from afar. Inside, it was just cold grey concrete. Wiring and fire safety were ready, but the walls were bare, and the floor had the cheapest tiles around. Working here would require massive renovations. 1,000 yuan per meter, that adds another 12 million in costs. Does that price include everything, even the plaza? And in property with rights for 50 years. Thing is, I make 60 million yuan a day in my account. Could have accepted instantly. Watch closely here, because paying full price is for fools, and this is all about pure strategy. If I start throwing cash around like crazy, everyone will think I am an absolute fool. In future deals, they would think this rich idiot pays whatever. When you go lower, old Jiao laughed. Brother, we hit rock bottom. Compare this with city prices. Do not look at the big city. Compare it with Yunnan County, I said calmly. Been empty with no tenants for over 2 years. You lose money every year. If I do not buy, you keep bleeding. I'm doing you a favor. His laughter stopped, studying me again. His clothes looked completely ordinary, but he arrived in a Maybach that he paid for in cash. He negotiated an entire building as calmly as ordering lunch. Your offer, 20 million net. He crushed his cigarette. Must discuss this with my boss. Go, but make it fast. He practically jogged out. My uncle stared at me with deep worry lines creasing his face. Boy, how rich are you? Tell me right now. I know what I am doing, uncle, relax. But there is something he did not get, and I bet you do not either. Over those 3 million was not about saving. I get 60 million daily. 3 million is just pocket change to me. I wanted to send a crystal clear message. I am serious. Smart, and I never pay too much. The local government would remember this, making any future negotiations we have ahead much smoother. We were talking when old Xiao practically bounced back in, grinning like a lottery winner. Gentlemen, I have great news. The boss said yes. Xiao jogged in like he won a race, sweaty and beaming with excitement. Walked over slowly, barely holding back his massive joy. Mr. Liu, my boss, approved it. 20 million for the entire building and the plaza. It is yours. Hearing that, my uncle's face showed a strange mix of 7 different emotions, unable to settle on just one. On the way to his repair shop, he asked me just one question. Are you really buying that cursed building? Is right. Got out, slammed the door, and walked off, sighing as if he was attending my own financial funeral. At 2:30 p.m., I went home and changed into a dark formal shirt. You are negotiating with government officials for a building. You have to look sharp. Then I drove straight to the district headquarters. Normally, the security gate in Yunnan County is quite a drama. They demand your identification, interrogate you, and watch you like you are crossing an international border. But today, a massive black Maybach slid smoothly up to the barrier. The guard looked at the luxury hood emblem through his window, and without saying a word, pushed the button to lift the gate. Apparently, and you are about to see this, a German luxury car opens any door in this world. I parked right in front of the massive office building. Before I even closed my door, old Xiao shot out of the entrance like a bullet, grinning so hard I feared for his face. Mister, come with me on this right on time. The big bosses are waiting upstairs in a conference room with 3 people. In the center sat Director Wang, head of finance, 50 years old, with hair so perfect it looked painted on. His spotless white shirt practically screamed 30 years of government service. Left sat Deputy Director Liu, a younger guy, chubby, wearing semi-rimless glasses and in charge of state assets. His face showed he absolutely loved imposing tough conditions. And on the right, a young assistant with a laptop. His entire purpose in life was typing down everything he heard. Mr. Wong stood up first to shake my hand, praising my youth and success. I just responded with polite humility. Deputy Director Liu muttered some formalities, and we all sat down. Instantly, the laptop kid served freshly brewed premium tea with some seriously impressive agility. The tea leaves floated upright in the glass, looking like tiny green soldiers standing ready for combat. Back when I made 8,000 yuan a month, this intense government formality would have left me dripping in sweat. All my life was just arguing with clients over petty things in social media posts. Now I had 120 million yuan in the bank, and 60 million more arriving by midnight. That much cash gives you insane confidence. Calmly leaned back, blew my tea, and took a sip. Good tea, I said. The director smiled and bragged. They were the first harvest before the rains. Mr. Liu, it is rare to see a successful man return to invest in his hometown. What a noble gesture. Our roots run deep, I replied, matching his poetic tone. I made money abroad, but this land is solid. We kept going like this, playing the usual business games, sniffing out where my fortune came from. I mentioned online investments and cryptocurrency profits. Sometimes these local officials hear on the news, but do not actually understand at all. The perfect cover. After this verbal ping-pong, Director Wong seemed to trust me and leaned forward. Liu let us speak frankly. You already know the building situation. 20 million is a massive loss for the county. 10 million on basic renovations. And in silence, a classic power play. Wong looked at Deputy Director Liu, who cleared his throat and slid a printed document to the table's center. I know what you are thinking, but here is the catch. They claimed the price came with heavy local conditions. We want to ensure your company truly contributes to our region's development. He adjusted his collar, the universal sign that demands were coming, adopting a stiff, bureaucratic tone. There are 3 extra conditions. Go on. First, you must create 100 local jobs with benefits within a year. Inside, I almost laughed. 100 jobs at 3,000 yuan a month is 300,000 monthly. Less than 4 million annually. Make that sleeping for 4 minutes. Second, your company taxes must stay right here. No tax loopholes or shell companies overseas. Another slow sip of my tea. The money cannot leave this place anyway. The system does not allow it. Even if I wanted to evade taxes elsewhere, my magical bank account would simply reject the transfer. Third, and this is the most crucial part, Deputy Director stared at me with a serious tone. Upon starting operations, you must allocate 30% of net profits to local development. The room fell dead silent. Director Wong sipped his thermos, pretending to be indifferent, while watching me closely from the corner of his eye. Deputy Director Liu waited for me to complain, and the laptop kid had his fingers poised to type. Conditions were basically highway robbery backed by a government badge. 30% of net profit. No sane investor would ever agree to hand over that much. You wouldn't find a single business deal in the entire country demanding a third of your profits. But I understood them. They were protecting themselves after selling a building that cost over 20 million. Without these conditions, the auditors would destroy them at the end of the fiscal year. Selling off public assets at a discount with nothing in return would ruin their political careers. It was just political shielding. Stay with me to see my choice as I crunch the numbers. All right. Let's look at this. 100 jobs, local taxes, no escape, and 30% of profits straight to local development. Deputy Director Liu, I said, stopping my tapping and staring at him. Stand up instantly, ready for battle. Liu, if you have doubts, please share them. Smiled, leaning forward with interlaced fingers, looking both directors dead in the eye. Gentlemen, the first 2 conditions are completely reasonable. I paused. But as for that third condition, I am personally not satisfied at all. Deputy Liu frowned, clicking his pen like a judging teacher. Mr. Liu, this third condition is the county red line for supporting our local infrastructure. We are letting you have that building for just 20 million. You realize how massive that concession is. 30% of profits for the community. Is that really unreasonable? Slowly set down my untouched tea, adding some drama. Deputy Director Liu, math does not work that way. Leaned back in my chair. I'm a businessman. Businessmen love profit. I want 100 employees. I will hire 1,000. You want the taxes to stay here. I won't take a single penny out of this county. 30% of my net profits defies all business logic. I could feel their eyes locked onto me, like hawks watching a rabbit that suddenly started solving math equations. First, a company needs profits to reinvest and grow. Take 30% and you choke my cash flow. Second, I didn't return to Yunmeng to open some tiny shop. What I plan to invest goes way beyond just 20 million. Director Wong's thermos froze right there in midair. 20 million is just for the building. Schools, hospitals, factories, and roads will all follow after this, and they will require massive, constant investment. Those infrastructure projects won't make a profit for years. Instead of taking 30%, let me invest directly in local development. Director Wong was a clever old political fox. In all kinds of businessmen, smooth talkers, scammers, and guys promising skyscrapers who only delivered tiny sheds. 2 million yuan Maybach paid entirely in cash and talking in his boardroom about building schools and hospitals with complete seriousness. Even worse, that building was a total nightmare. Every year it swallowed over 100,000 yuan just in maintenance costs. Every year auditors came, reported the asset as useless waste, and made his life a living hell. Someone took that cursed building and created jobs. His annual performance report would practically write itself. Now pay attention here. Push too hard on that 30%. The golden goose would fly away. Director Wong softened his tone. He turned to his deputy. Old Liu, forget the third condition. Stick with just the first two. Young Mr. Liu is returning to rebuild his homeland. Roll out the red carpet instead of creating obstacles. Deputy Director Liu adjusted his glasses and nodded. Understood, we will do that. Immediately, the assistant began editing the contract on the laptop. Mr. Liu, regarding the payment timeline, Director Wong casually asked, pointing at the contract, money will arrive instantly. Government is usually slow, but with millions on the line, they move at warp speed. 4 in the afternoon, the freshly printed transfer agreement was sitting right in front of me. I reviewed it. First condition, 100 jobs. Still there. Second, local taxes. Still there. Third condition, completely wiped out. Gone. I signed, stamped it, and I know you guys are going to love this. Pulled out my phone, typed 20 million, and confirmed the transfer. Sound of the notification rang out in the quiet boardroom like a massive bell. Minutes later, Deputy Liu got a call from finance. When he hung up, I swear his left eye was twitching. Looked at Director Wong and nodded. Director, we have received the full payment of 20 million yuan. Wong's face broke into that exact smile a public official gets when their biggest yearly headache suddenly vanishes. He practically jumped out of his chair, grabbing my hand with both of his, shaking it with crazy force. You are outstanding. Yinming County needs young entrepreneurs like you. Any issues or trouble you run into, come straight to me. Old Xiao watched from the side, swallowing hard. 20 million transferred in seconds, without a single hesitation. Who on earth was this kid? The rest of the paperwork got absolute red carpet treatment. The office had a window ready. By 5:30 p.m., right before they closed, they handed me a bright red property deed. Opened it, and my name stood out in bold black ink. Lu Ming, 12,450 meters of building and 1,000 meters of plaza. I walked out of there a winner. The sun had already set. Looked like it was on fire, painting red and orange hues as if showing off. My friends, stick with me, because his massive plan is just getting started. Come along with me to see how this guy tries to blow 60 million yuan a day, completely alone after scoring his building. He needed a team, specifically someone trustworthy who could handle massive piles of cash and had a brilliant mind. Enter my cousin Lu Yuan, Uncle Jianjun's daughter. A year younger than me, she grew up following me everywhere. Sharp tongue, genius brain. Graduated with an accounting degree from a decent mid-tier finance university in the province. Worked for a year at a younger accounting firm, but she hated the terrible pay and endless overtime. So she quit after Chinese New Year to slack off at home, occasionally helping with the garage bills. I drove to the mechanic shop. The metal shutter was halfway down, so I ducked to get inside. Lu Yuan was sitting on the same trashed sofa, hunched over a massive ceramic bowl, inhaling noodles at lightning speed. Wore an oversized old t-shirt, a messy bun, zero makeup, and cheap plastic slippers. He'd basically resigned from society, and society accepted it. Still eating. I grabbed a chair and sat down, looked up with a noodle hanging out, slurped it in, and muttered, "Cousin, what are you doing here? Dad said you went car shopping. Did you get one?" "Yeah, I did." "What did you buy?" "A Santana." On the bowl and wiped her mouth with a napkin. "Dad's taste is pure secondhand junk," she joked. "Maybach," I replied. Her hand instantly froze. The napkin stayed pressed to her lip like she hit a pause button. And she crumpled it, threw it, and rolled her eyes. "Why not say you bought a Boeing 747? Flexing is free," she scoffed. I did not argue. "What about you? Spending your day in this garage, planning to inherit the family oil change business. Changing oil is honest work," she pouted. "That trash company paid 3,500 a month with endless overtime. The boss gave motivational speeches instead of cash. I'm just resting." Pay close attention to this exact moment, because while she complains about exams, he slams a property deed onto the table. "Work for me," I said. Stared at the red folder with pure suspicion. "What is that?" "Open it." She leaned forward and unzipped it. "Owner, Lu Ming. Location, New City Commercial Building. Area 12,450 square meters. She stared blankly at those mind-blowing numbers for 30 whole seconds. Then she reached out and touched my forehead. No fever, cousin. Where did you get this fake deed? Looks super real. Is not that the abandoned building everyone gave up on? Transferred today. Fully paid at 20 million yuan. I pocketed the deed. I'm starting a company and need a chief financial officer. You in? Stared like I told her I could speak to dolphins. Assuming what happened to you. Did you get dumped in Shanghai? A loan sharks chasing you. 20 million. And selling both your kidneys wouldn't get you 2 million yuan. I made money trading crypto. What crypto pays out 100 million. She shot off the sofa like a rocket. Don't lie to me. Are you doing illegal stuff? International fraud or money laundering? Is legal, clean, and fully taxed. Put away my phone. Invest in an accounting department. Bet you and I would both laugh seeing a finance professional completely lose her mind and stutter over money. Poetic. I looked at her. In or out? Is there a salary? She immediately blurted. Your accountant DNA. She just couldn't help herself. 50,000 a month. Full social benefits, and an annual bonus. Lu Yuan slammed her bowl down, splashing soup everywhere. Repeat that. How much? 50,000 a month. A month. Stared at me for 10 whole seconds, then touched my forehead again. No fever, you already checked that. Wiped her hand on her shirt and slumped onto the couch. And do you know how much that sweatshop paid me? 3,500. You already said that. She repeated it like a funeral chant. Working until 6, 1 day off. And during the end of month audit, forget your weekends entirely. 3,500 gross, 3,100 net. Now you offer 50,000. She smacked the armrest. If you pay me 50,000, I will be the highest paid accountant in this entire county. No finance worker in Yinming makes what you are offering. Old boss, the financial director, only made 12,000. Ignoring her breakdown, I spun a chair, sat backward, resting my arms, and said, first, you are family and I trust you. Second, you studied this. You have the experience and can start working immediately without wasting any time. Big is your plan. Huge, I replied. She went quiet. Lu Yuan is not stupid, and she has known me forever. And you know I never flex or exaggerate. All right, stick with me on this one, because unlike her exaggerating father, if anyone else told her this, would have kicked them out along with their bowl of noodles. He knew me well enough to know I was serious. That certificate is completely real. In the housing office today. See for yourself. Bit her lip, nervously rubbing her knee, terrified she wouldn't be good enough for this. Told her I would hire a replacement, but keep paying her until she found a new job. Standing up, she washed her bowl, and with her back turned, she asked quietly when she should start. I told her first thing tomorrow. Registration, accounting, taxes, you know this stuff better than me. Take charge. And have an official name. Yunming Investment Company Limited. Turned off the tap and shook her wet hands dry. Glancing at me, she asked about the registered capital. 100 million, her voice cracked with shock. 100 million. Have you lost your mind? Do you even understand what that actually means? Once registered, you are personally liable for 100 million yuan. I told her I knew that. Is it subscribed or paid in? Partially paid in. 20 million building counts as a fixed asset. She went dead silent. Now pay attention here as an accountant. She knows the massive weight behind those 100 million, not just paperwork. Real physical cash needs to sit in a verification account. How much do you actually have? Enough, I said. Opened her mouth to argue, but stopped herself and swallowed her words. Then she pulled up a stool, sat right across from me, grabbed a notepad, and switched to professional mode. Business scope, consulting, real estate development, commercial operations management, construction, dining, entertainment. Put down everything now so we do not have to change it later, she muttered, writing quickly. Registered address, Yingbin Road, New City Commercial Building. The curse building, my property. She circled it and closed her notebook. Tomorrow at 8:30, right when the registry opens. I'll need a copy of your identification tonight. Official, financial, and legal seals. I will contact an engraver ahead of time to get those done. Bank accounts take 2 or 3 days. I asked if she could rush it. We'll try, she said, pausing suddenly. What about your car? Is it really a Maybach? It's outside, I said. She hurried out in her sandals, followed her outside. There it was under the street lamp, parked right in front of the old mechanic shop. Just look at this beast, a black Maybach, shining like a panther in a petting zoo. She slowly circled it. She knows nothing about luxury cars, but she definitely recognized that 3-pointed star and the Maybach logo on the trunk. How much was it? $1,400,000. Stood behind the car, staring at the exhaust pipe in silence, speechless, quietly trying to process how her entire reality had just shattered. Suddenly turned around, her expression changed. More joking. Told her I could not explain everything yet. The money is completely clean. Do not trust me. You do not have to accept. We are still family. We'll still have New Year dinner together. Stared at me, then said she trusted me and accepted the job. What is your plan? Hire staff and build a team. A company of this scale cannot run on just 2 people. Human resources, admin, assistants, and drivers. She sighed, gave the car door a gentle pat, and finally agreed. Me up in this car tomorrow at 8. As we are heading to the registry office to set things up. The Maybach parked outside will make the clerks process my paperwork twice as fast. Do not laugh at this. In a small town, this car is the ultimate recommendation letter. And you know what? She was absolutely right. Coming home, I rolled the windows down to breathe in the cool night air and the scent of damp earth. The streetlights were sparse, leaving long dark stretches, with my headlights cutting a bright path through the shadows. Inside, I found my father in the living room, watching television. Channel 6 was showing the classic movie, Let the Bullets Fly. Dad looked up and said my uncle called. My uncle's promise of silence did not even last 4 hours. What did he tell you? I asked. $1,000,000 car. Putting the remote down, he asked if I made money. I made some, I replied. How much is some? Enough, I said. Stared at me, knowing I was usually too cautious to do something so reckless. He told me I should have shared this. Is it clean? Yes, Dad, and trust me, you and I are just getting started. I never do anything illegal. Grabbed the remote, turned up the volume a bit, and stared back at the screen. On screen, Jiang Wan rode into town on horseback. Stick with me, because this place is about to change forever. Still waters run deep here, on the other end of the couch, and we just shared the silence together. Neither of us spoke. Just watching Jiang Wan try to wake up that stubborn little town, a town refusing to change, still foreshadowing. 7:50 in the morning, I parked the Maybach outside my uncle's shop. Lu Yuan was already waiting on the sidewalk, and I almost did not recognize her. Gone was the casual girl in sandals. Now a flawless professional stood there in a white blouse, black pants, and subtle makeup. Looked like a totally different person. Same DNA, but running a brand new operating system. Pulled documents from her bag like a magician pulling scarves from a hat, property certificates, and the incorporation papers. Drafted everything herself last night. Printed in duplicate and double-checked with terrifying efficiency. And booked an appointment with the official seal engraver across the street. Called Jiang Seals. That's where every single official stamp in this entire county comes from. When did you sleep? In the morning, she said, closing her eyes. 50,000 a month takes real hard work. 25. The Maybach pulled up right in front of the county registration office. Several small business owners were already waiting outside with bags of paperwork, chatting on the steps. Suddenly, our massive German yacht on wheels parked. Pay attention, because at 8:30 we are going all in. First in line with all the paperwork organized like a strict military operation. A woman in her 30s sipping tea from a thermos. Flipped through the files until she froze at the registered capital. 100 million in registered capital, and an initial down payment of 20 million already cleared, contributed as fixed assets. You can find the property deed right on the very last page. Stood up instantly, carrying the files inside like some highly confidential treaty. 5 minutes later, she returned with the supervisor. The section chief had doubts about our business scope. Too many categories requiring prior approval meant even more complaints. Lu Yuan cut him off immediately. Register every single category right now. Your individual licenses before launching each business line. It is perfectly legal. Dusting his glasses, the chief nodded. Fine. Everything is here. Fast track process takes 3 business days. Can we do today? He hesitated. Today does not fit standard protocol. Lu Yuan did not argue. She just unlocked her phone and slid it across the counter. I know what you're thinking. And yes, that photo shaking hands with Director Wang changed absolutely everything. Clear as day. Our company is a high priority project brought in directly by the county leadership. Director Wang closed the deal yesterday and requested expedited processing to prevent any bureaucratic delays. The moment the chief glanced at the screen, his entire attitude shifted in an instant. Just to return this afternoon. while Lu Yuan went for the stamps with the intensity of a holy mission. On my end, I focused on recruiting, posting job ads for the prestigious Yunming investment, human manager, human resources executive secretary, and 2 drivers, based in the county with salaries way above market average, topped off with a glossy photo of our sunlit headquarters. Next, I opened TikTok and set up an official account called Yuning Investment. 15-second video of the luxury building with the text. Now hiring, starting salary 5,000 monthly. No ceiling. Local residents preferred. 100 yuan on local promotion and sat back to wait. My WeChat post was completely ignored since my friend list was 90% former Shanghai colleagues and classmates. 20 minutes, just 3 likes, 2 from old coworkers and 1 from mom. 0 messages. I was about to give up when a notification popped up. Her profile picture showed her in a luxury Chengdu shopping district. Blooming. Not have her saved. Opened her feed and her latest post was from 3 days ago. Picture of an airport coffee with the caption, "I am back." I kept scrolling. A stunning girl with long hair posing in Chengdu. Then her graduation photo holding flowers, smiling wide in front of Sichuan University. And there you have it. Destiny brings us back to Shunli, our old high school crush. Undisputed prettiest girl in our entire class. A title that absolutely nobody ever dared to question. Let's jump into this wild drama together. But after graduation, we completely lost touch with each other. She was just someone I occasionally saw on social media. When I replied that it was me, she texted back instantly. Came back to Yuming. I saw your job posting. Newly registered investment company. That is incredible. So impressive. What is it? Investment. For a minute of silence, she suddenly asked if I was free to meet. She said she was home and returned 2 days ago. Stared at the message on my phone screen. University graduate working in Chengdu and suddenly back in tiny Yinming County. But I wanted to know more. I said sure and asked where she was. Pinned her location at the Jinwang supermarket in the old town. I started the car and drove over. 8 minutes later, I parked. There she was standing on the supermarket stairs. White t-shirt, jeans, canvas shoes, a shoulder bag, and her loose hair gently blew in the breeze. She looked so simple, clean, and beautiful. She literally took my breath away. Rolled down the window and told her to get in. The Maybach logo surprised her, but she hid it with a quick smile. Now pay attention here, she sat in the back. Really changed her. Full shyness was completely gone, replaced by a much more mature aura. Even in simple clothes, she clearly belonged to a much more sophisticated place than this humble little town. Under the sun, her natural face looked stunning. "Long time no see," she said, her voice sounding exactly the same, and was clear and sweet. I glanced in the rearview mirror, asking where to talk. She left it to me. And yet, no, I thought for a second, spun the wheel, and suggested traditional braised noodles. In the back seat, she laughed, saying that grabbing cheap noodles in a Maybach was a unique flex. "Blooming, you are different." And she paused, her eyes turning serious in the mirror. Her job opening for a human resources manager. I want to apply. The restaurant did not even have a sign. Just a humble joint with plastic outdoor tables. Tables were still damp from a quick wipe. One of those sketchy places that would make health inspectors cry. But the food was spectacular. Ordered 2 bowls of lamb noodles, one with extra spice. Added the order to the owner and asked Shunli if she liked spicy. "Lived in Sichuan for 4 years," she replied. Good point. The food arrived quickly. She politely took her chopsticks and tasted the broth first. "When did you get back?" I asked. 2 days ago," she answered. "Just at home, bored, scrolling through my phone when I saw your post." Put down her chopsticks and confessed she read my job ad 3 times because she could not believe it. "You sat right behind me for 3 years in high school. You were so quiet, you felt like background furniture. I remember your rank was around 200 and you failed math." I just took a quiet sip of my soup. "So basically, I had a massive glow up." "Not like that," she waved her hands. "I mean, you climbed fast. You and I can feel the tension here. This casual lunch just officially turned into a high-stakes job interview." I started questioning her. Turns out she actually studied human resources at Sichuan University. Graduating, she managed 300 employees at a major internet company in Chengdu. She handled recruiting and evaluations for 2 departments for over 2 years. So why did you leave? She hesitated briefly with her chopsticks. Mass layoffs. First sales, then managers, and finally human resources. I was among the last to go. My severance pay was barely 40,000 yuan, she said flatly. No drama, just harsh reality. I did not dig deeper. Tech layoffs have been brutal these past few years. Nothing out of the ordinary. Do not look for another job in Chengdu. Swallowing her noodles, she wiped her mouth and confessed she searched for 3 months, sent 100 resumes, and had 12 interviews. Either the pay was terrible or the company was sketchy. She looked straight at me, listing her monthly expenses. Severance package vanished in 3 months. I had only 2 choices: borrow money or accept a pathetic salary. Neither was an option. So you came back. Yes, she said. Finished my noodles, pushed my bowl aside, and thought, now you want to manage HR for a completely empty shell company with 0 employees. Is that not beneath you? Gave a tired, honest smile. Blooming, do you know what you need to feel overqualified? Other options. Not be sitting here eating lamb soup with you right now. Her raw honesty left me frozen. How about you? Leaned back and directly asked how much she wanted. Come along and meet our female lead, who made 10,000 a month in Xingu, earning 160,000 yearly. She paused. You offer 8,000, I can accept. Anything less is a no, her hand trembling over her glass. We'll handle human resources and administration alone. No team initially. Recruitment, attendance, payroll, supplies. It is all on you. She stared at me for 2 seconds. Aren't you going to negotiate? There is no time. If I waste 20 minutes haggling over 500 yuan, that is work time lost. Take those 500 and earn them. On her glass. One more question. She hesitated for a moment. What will this company actually do? An investment firm is just a front. You can put anything in there. It is just flipping houses or opening a small shop. I am not interested. I stared back. Outside, an old farm truck rattled by. That classic diesel roar drowned out everything in the diner for a few seconds. Once the noise faded, I spoke. Worked in Chengdu for 4 years. How did it feel coming back? She blinked, confused by the sudden shift. How did it feel? She thought about it, like waking up to find time had stopped. The same streets, the same stores, even the same old man selling candied fruit on the corner. Pay close attention. It was just like high school. Nothing changed. Those who could escape this place left. Ones who stay are just surviving. A county of 60,000 people with no shopping mall. The youth are fleeing. Only the elderly and children remain. To change that. She stayed quiet, but the path is set. Step 1, build industries, create real jobs, build schools, hospitals, and infrastructure so they stay. Bring the people back, maybe even attract outsiders. She fell silent for a long time. How much money would that take? A massive amount. Do you have it? She looked into my eyes, unevenly lighting my face. I'd met plenty of bosses before. Her director in Chengdu talked big at conferences, then cheated employees on social security. There were plenty of frauds around. I was not giving a speech or acting. I said it exactly how I used to talk in high school. Flat, expressionless voice. Not describing a dream, but sounding like I was reading a bus schedule. Apparently that worked best. I bet you did not expect this. Stood up and reached out. Mr. Liu, I look forward to working with you. I shook it. Tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. New district, Yingbin Road. 6-story glass building. You will find it. One more thing. I was halfway out the door when I turned. Put together a recruitment plan over the next few days. I need the team assembled immediately. He nodded. After I left, she called her mother. Mom, I got a job. Her mother paused. We're right here in the county. It is wonderful. You will be close to home. Then she hung up. Since she got back 2 days ago, her mother's constant advice was always just 3 words. Blind date time. If a girl returning home had no other path but finding a husband. Leaning against the shop curtain, she looked up. Bluer than Chengdu's. At least they had that. In the afternoon, Lu Yuan called. Business license is ready. All ready. Please, look who handled it. I could hear his pride over the phone. Corporate seal, financial stamp, and legal representative stamp are all ready. The bank appointment is set for tomorrow morning. One more thing, he said seriously. You should be careful. While grabbing the license, I ran into someone. A resources guy named Joe. Found out you bought that building. Do not ask me how, but he practically begged for your phone number. What did he want? She told me. Lu Yuan lowered his voice. 100-acre industrial plot in Shilipu. It has been listed for 2 years. Nobody has touched it. He wants to know if you are interested. 100 acres of abandoned industrial land, just waiting for someone with too much money and zero clue what they are doing. Basically, they were waiting for me. 100 acres of industrial land. Told the guy, let us talk tomorrow. Hung up because I needed to process that the universe was now throwing real estate at me like internet spam. That night, I opened the satellite map on my laptop. Shilipu village 7 kilometers from town. On the screen, it looked like a giant empty brown rectangle near the highway, with a tiny irrigation canal and farmland surrounding it all. The satellite resolution was terrible, looking like it was taken with a potato, but you could tell the land was very flat. Then I checked the land office website. The site looked straight out of 2008. Next will completely change our entire story. Come along with me as we unravel this messy code and find the listing that changed everything. 100 acres of industrial land in Shilipu with a 50-year lease. Starting price 24 million yuan. On sale for 2 years with 0 buyers. 24 million for abandoned land shows how dead this county is. No local business wants to grow here. Everything is slowly sinking into ruin. I shut my laptop and stared up. Midnight, my account updated. Another 6,024,700 yuan. New balance 216,148,800 yuan. Unreal wealth sitting in my bank. My actual spending was practically nothing. Massive balance was growing way faster than I could ever burn through. It felt like emptying the ocean with a single spoon, except this ocean kept expanding every single night. The next morning at exactly 8, I drove over to the office building. Lu Yuan was already there, crouching behind the front desk fixing loose wires with electrical tape. I asked if she actually knew electricity. I walked over, completely shocked. She casually said she learned it on social media 20 minutes ago while calling the landlord. They promised to send a repairman, but she joked she would probably retire before they actually showed up. This girl was definitely going to earn every penny of her 50,000 salary. 10:30 bank meeting was next. Stood up, brushed off her pants, and handed me a brown envelope. Finally, my official business license. Watch closely, because that license in my name is 100% real, and my empire is officially born. Technically, I was now a chief executive. Mother would either faint or kill me. At 8:40, a grey Volkswagen arrived. Blue short-sleeved shirt, a simple Casio watch, and a sharp military buzz cut, bronze skin, and a fast-paced walk. Zhao Yan, a key player in the land department, he spotted the Maybach keys sitting on the reception desk, and his eyes locked onto them like a heat-seeking missile. Blue, he greeted quickly, shaking my hand. I'm Zhao Yan from Land Resources. I spoke with your sister yesterday, right to the point. I like that. Instantly showed me some pictures on his phone. Yellow dirt, concrete poles, and a highway in the distance. Nobody bought this in 2 whole years, I asked while looking at the photos. Rubbed his fingers together in the universal sign for things are complicated. Several reasons. It is remote, has 0 nearby infrastructure, and absolutely no other industries are anywhere around. Building there forces you to bring your entire supply chain in from the outside. Way too expensive. I know what you are thinking. Another massive flop. But check out what happened here 3 years ago. They promised a massive factory. Local county prepped the land and built paved roads just to welcome them. The company went bankrupt and the project died, leaving this land abandoned like a bride left at the altar. Inspect it right now, I proposed. Hearing that, Zhao Yan almost floated out of his chair with excitement. He was halfway out the door before realizing, then asked whose car we would take. We all piled into the Maybach. Yan rode shotgun with Zhao Yan in the back. The second he settled into that rear seat, his entire body froze. Caught him in the rearview mirror, secretly stroking the leather and staring up at the starry ceiling, completely awestruck, just processing that level of pure luxury in real time as we headed southeast down the highway. Once we cleared the city limits, the landscape shifted. Shops vanished, replaced by endless fields of wheat and tall poplars. Turned onto a narrower concrete road that looked like a literal minefield of deep potholes. The Maybach air suspension worked overtime, absorbing every bump, but those massive craters seemed to defy the laws of physics. Minutes later, we pulled up to a massive open space and I stepped out. The heavy wind whipped across my face. The plot was absolutely colossal. 100 acres, about 10 football fields, but solid yellow dirt stretching out, with faded red ribbons tied to concrete posts marking off the corners. To the north, a shallow irrigation canal showed its muddy bottom right through the weeds growing along the banks. Well-maintained provincial highway, with dump trucks carrying sand and cement constantly rushing past. Rows of grey brick houses with massive signs painted on them, warning people not to burn crops. Just local safety warnings. I walked the whole perimeter. Lu Yuan followed closely, sketching a map in her notebook, while Zhao Yan trailed behind, pitching ideas whenever I stopped. Utilities are already set. Stick with me as we watch this brand new empire rise. Come along with me to check out this land water ready by the canal, power and access guaranteed, and gas is close by. Connecting it is cheap. He was incredibly detailed. I must admit, I leaned down and grabbed a handful of dirt. I rubbed it between my fingers. Medium grain, yellowish brown, not too loose and not too sticky either. It used to be farmland. Yes, they compensated the villagers during the land acquisition. All the paperwork is completely clean. Pulled a stack of photocopies from his briefcase, environmental assessments and planning permits. Flipped through them quickly, ignoring the legal jargon. Only checked the key numbers plot ratio of 1.5 and 50% max density. Minimum green space at 15%. Price is locked at 24 million without going up a single yuan in 2 years. Zhao Yin shook his head. Honestly, the bosses say that if anyone shows real interest, we can negotiate the price. Handed the documents back, stood up, brushed the dust off my hands, and walked right to the center of the land. I slowly spun around in a full circle, 360 degrees of wind, wheat fields, the highway, and Yunming looming far away. Standing there, something clicked. Thought about that pathetic One Jaffa Mall, with half of its third floor sitting completely empty. Thought about a county where entertainment is nothing but mahjong, scrolling on phones and drinking. I thought of 60,000 people with absolutely nowhere to spend their money, even if they had it. Seemed remote, but it was right next to the highway. Traffic was flowing. Cars mean people, and people mean customers. Customers bring money, and money brings jobs. Not a factory. Something way better. Chief Zhao, watch closely. I buy this land and build a massive commercial and entertainment hub instead of a factory. How long would the approval take in your office? Zhao Yan's mouth instantly fell wide open, and he closed it and opened it again. Far off, a sand truck drove down the highway, completely unaware it was crossing the county's future center. Commercial complex. Zhao Yan literally trembled. He stared at me for a few seconds, making sure I wasn't joking. Then he rubbed his nose. Mr. Liu, that is a massive jump. This land is zoned for industrial use. Can we change it? Yes, we can. He sighed like someone explaining why something technically possible is a total disaster in reality. The process is a nightmare. Converting industrial land into commercial use. Call it industrial to commercial conversion. Step 1. Submit a report to the county government requesting an adjustment to the land use and urban-rural plans. I know what you're thinking, but the county can't approve it alone. It goes to the city, even the province. I stayed quiet. Let him talk. Step 2. After approval, the government reclaims the land and puts it back up for public auction. You can't just buy it outright. You would have to bid again at the auction center. Step 3 is the real killer blow. You must pay the price difference between industrial and commercial land. Completely different universe of prices. The sheer amount of paperwork and stamps would wear your legs out. Lu Yuan notes furiously in his book, The Fastest Time Frame. Zhao Yan laughed bitterly. Fast, you say? Even if every county department gives the green light and the city fully backs it, it takes 8 months minimum. One single slip-up and it takes a year or 18 months. And there hasn't been a single conversion here in 10 years. 50 million daily for 240 days is 14,400 million yuan sitting uselessly in my account. 14 billion becoming mere numbers on a screen, while my county stagnated and my population targets remained a complete fantasy. Couldn't wait 8 months. Couldn't even wait 8 weeks. Turned around and walked back to the Maybach. Get in, we're leaving. Zhao Yan stood there with his papers dazed. Mr. Liu, are you letting it go? Factory would work, like food processing or textiles. State subsidies. Factories are too slow. On the wheel and rolled down the window. Chief Zhao, thanks for your time. We'll treat you to dinner later. The car spun around, kicking up dust, and sped onto the highway. In the rear view, Zhao Yin looked so small, standing alone in 100 acres of emptiness, shaking his head, putting the papers into his briefcase. Sorry, friend, my plan is different. Silence filled the car. What's your play, brother? Lu Yan closed his notebook. 20 million spent on offices. And now you want to build a shopping mall, biggest mall in this area. Wonjifu, he grimaced. It is in the new district, but it's practically dead. Tell me more. And 5 years ago as the #1 destination in all of Yunming. Owner is Wang Dafa, a builder turned tycoon. He did well, but e-commerce crushed him. And trust me, the counterattack is going to be epic. Come watch this with me. All the young people left, and now only seniors remain. First floor supermarket barely survives by selling eggs at a loss. Second is empty, and the third is basically dead. Whole building is basically just a giant air-conditioned park for retirees. I turned the wheel. Let us check it out. 10 minutes later, our Maybach pulled up to Wanjia Plaza. The 3-story building had faded aluminum panels, weathered by rain and sun into a depressing orange. Flickering lights on the entrance sign had missing letters, making Wanjifu look like it was suffering a major stroke. We pushed past those heavy plastic curtains that immediately tell you the place does not care about first impressions. A wall of smells hit us, cheap perfume and greasy fried food, with old air conditioning working harder than any employee. First floor, the supermarket. Entrance, a crowd of grandmas swarmed a bin of cheap toilet paper like an apocalyptic crisis. We rode up the escalators, screeching like a dying robot. Second floor, the clothing department. Little stalls sold garments with colors and designs even my mother would call incredibly outdated. Loud reds, neon greens, and floral patterns that looked like they were designed during a high fever. Shop owners sat outside on plastic stools, munching seeds and blasting short videos on their phones. Overlapping videos played, but nobody looked at us. Now pay close attention to what Lu Yuan whispered here. Even my mom would find these clothes ancient. They want 280, but offer 50, and they will hug you. Nearly a third of the shops were closed, with cheap paper signs claiming excellent location taped to the metal grates. That excellent location claim was just a bad joke. But the third floor, way worse. It was meant for dining and play, but the children area with its once colorful ball pit was entirely shut down. The plastic balls were heavily coated in thick dust, seen from a kid birthday party 3 years ago. Half of the restaurants were shut. Surviving places had grease-stained signs, radiating that sad vibe of a business counting down its final days. Entered a braised chicken joint with only 2 occupied tables. The chubby 30-year-old owner was busy gaming at the counter. Are you blind? They stole our dragon while you just watched. He yelled furiously at his screen. Great service. Watch closely as I sat down at an empty table. The table was so sticky it felt like it had been that way since opening, and would remain sticky forever. Boss, 2 small plates of chicken, mild, I ordered. Without looking up, he told me to scan the QR code with WeChat or Alipay. Lu Yuan processed it, grabbed napkins, and started wiping the table aggressively. Drove a Maybach here to eat sticky chicken. Market research, I replied, looking around. 15 minutes later, owner brought over 2 clay pots and slammed them down, splashing hot broth all over. Wait up, boss. I stopped him and offered a cigarette. Saw the premium brand pack, instantly improved by 20%. He tucked it behind his ear and sat down. Business seems slow, I remarked. Slow, I am about to go under. Slumped in his chair, sighing. 30 orders daily. Cannot even pay rent. Is it high? 80,000 a year. 2 years ago it was doable, but now this place is a fluorescent lit cemetery. See those storefronts opposite us? He pointed at the shuttered shops. Last month they all fled, without even asking for their deposits back, loading their equipment in the dead of night like war refugees. Management. They do absolutely nothing. With what funds? He scoffed, looked around, and lowered his voice. Wang Dafa is drowning in loan shark debt. His massive real estate project in the city completely collapsed. The cash flow broke completely. Not even afford to pay the cleaning staff anymore. They have gone unpaid for 3 months. First floor suppliers show up daily demanding cash. Got Wang Dafa phone number. Nobody like me get the big boss number. Took his head and pointed downstairs. Market manager downstairs, a guy named Lu, is actually Wang Dafa brother-in-law. Definitely has it. Suppliers scream at him constantly. Nodded, pulled out my phone, and transferred 500 yuan to the guy. Thanks for the info, boss. Keep the change for your cigarette. He stared at the notification in shock. Not accept this weight. Are you here to collect too? Do you think you will pull this off? No, I'm here to bring him money. Let's go watch me walk straight from the 3rd floor down to the supermarket. Manager Lou was down here, and he was my golden ticket to the big boss. Supermarket was about 2,000 square meters, a decent size, but it had been slowly bleeding to death for months. And those shelves were neat. Half of them had gaps big enough to fit a bicycle, randomly stuffed with cardboard boxes pretending to be promotional displays. 2 of the fridges in the fresh food section weren't even turned on. Vegetables looked like they had given up on life just yesterday, and nobody had bothered to tell the customers yet. 4 registers, 2 active, and a cashier fast asleep face down on the counter. Ella was watching a historical romance drama on her phone at low volume. The whole place had this soundtrack of ancient Chinese flirting. I followed the signs toward the back office, walking past a half-empty warehouse. Some guy on a forklift was eating instant noodles and gave me a quick nod. I kept walking down the hallway to a grey fire door. Someone had printed no entry on a plain sheet of paper and taped it onto the door. One corner was peeling off, super professional. I pushed it open. It was a 20 square meter room with 3 desks. The big desk by the window belonged to a round-faced guy with a receding hairline, wearing a wrinkled blue polo shirt with the store's logo. His desk was completely buried under receipts, account books, and empty cigarette packs, with an ashtray so full it looked like a graveyard of cigarette butts. When I opened the door, the man jumped out of his chair like he'd been shocked. Ghost, he screamed that payments would be made next month. He swore. He saw me. Didn't recognize me. Total system error. He asked who I was, and I introduced myself as Lu Ming from Yuning Investments. Now pay attention here. I walked right in and grabbed a chair like I owned the place, which technically I was about to do. Need a few minutes of your time, I told him, leaning against his desk, completely on the defensive. Yuning Investments doesn't ring a bell. No, debt collector. No, either. Hearing that, his entire body deflated with sheer relief. His shoulders dropped instantly. Jumped back into his chair, searched the ashtray for any surviving cigarette, and finding none, pulled a crushed pack from his drawer, seeing what I wanted, pulled out my own cigarettes and offered him one. He took it, approved of the brand, lit up, and I told him I wanted to see Wang Dafa. His hand froze midair. Business. He won't see anyone, he said, blowing out a cloud of smoke and shaking his head. Lately, he sees no one, barely answers his phone. Want to rent space in Wanjifu? Talk to me. We have plenty of open spots. The prices are highly negotiable, he added, sounding like a doctor telling you a terminally ill patient is resting peacefully. We both knew the patient was dying. I don't want to rent space, I replied, crossing my legs and tapping my knee. I want to buy Wanjifu. I know what you're thinking. There were 2 seconds of dead silence, and his cigarette almost hit the desk. The building, the land, the brand, everything in one package. I'm taking it all. He stared, scanning me from head to toe, sizing up my net worth with his eyes. Kid, no offense, but how old are you? 25. 25. And you want to buy a whole mall. Any idea what Wanjifu is worth? You tell me, I replied. He crushed his cigarette in the ashtray while giving me a highly skeptical side eye. My brother-in-law built this. Just the land and construction cost over 40 million plus 10 for equipment. We're talking 50 or 60 million total, and you expect to buy it. I didn't argue. Pulled out my phone, found a photo, and turned the screen toward him. It was the commercial building in the new district, its glass reflecting the blue sky. His eyes locked onto it, and I swiped to the next image. Property certificate under the name Lu Ming. Leaned forward, mouth wide open, letting ash drop onto his desk without even noticing. New district. The startup park. Not a startup park anymore. It's my office building. I put my phone away. Manager Lu, let's be direct. You know Wanjifu's situation better than me. 3rd floor is half closed. The 2nd is empty. And suppliers are demanding payments. Cleaning staff hasn't been paid in 3 months. Your brother-in-law's funding chain snapped completely. This place won't last much longer. Better to sell now while there's a buyer, before you watch it rot from within. Said nothing, just took 2 deep drags from his cigarette, its tip glowing bright red. I can't make this decision. I know, that's why I need Wang Dafa's number. He hesitated for a long moment, stared at his contacts, set it down, and grabbed it again. Really trustworthy? Ask the local government. The finance director knows me. He hesitated a bit more, and trust me, he let out one massive final sigh. Come along with me. He scribbles down his brother-in-law's private number, tears the paper off, and hands it to me. But I am warning you, his temper is absolutely toxic right now. Hangs up on everyone. He insults you. That is your problem. Thanks, I appreciate it. I pocketed the paper and walked out. Just as I reached the supermarket entrance, my phone buzzed. A message from Shan Li. Mr. Liu, I am at the office, but it is completely empty. I quickly replied as I walked. The keys are hidden in the planter next to the main entrance. Go inside and map out the office layout. I will be right back. But did not call him yet. The move requires some serious strategy. Do not call a drowning man just to tell him, hey, I want to buy your sinking ship. You must find the exact price that hurts enough to make him fold, but not so low he chooses to go down with it. Climbing into my Maybach, I leaned the seat back, blasted the air conditioning, and enjoyed pure silence. Luyuan stepped out of Wanjifu carrying a plastic bag, climbed inside the car, and carefully placed it at her feet. Eggs for $3.90 a pound. No way I could pass that up. Buckled her seatbelt. So what did you find out? Dafa's number. Now, watch closely, because here is the real challenge, finding the perfect price. She stares at me thinking, brother, why do you want that supermarket so badly? Does not seem profitable. I grinned. Isn't Pang Donglai profitable? Well, of course it is. Her eyes went wide. Wait, are you actually planning to turn this Wanjifu into another Pang Donglai? Keeping my eyes on the road, I spoke calmly. Pang Donglai is incredible. Binning County does not need a cheap copy. Completely stunned, clutching her discounted eggs and looking at me as if I had lost my mind. Honestly, maybe both. Spinning Wang Dafa's phone number in my hand. The secret was finding that sweet spot to make a desperate man hesitate, but ultimately accept. Too high and I look like a fool. Too low and he hangs up. First, let's see what Shanli has done with the building. The eggs could wait. Our miracle could not. The Maybach in the square and marched straight toward the entrance. For a second, I thought I had the wrong address. The floor was glowing. No ordinary sweep. Not just a quick wipe down. It was spotless, almost to an extreme. The grey tiles still looked wet and gleaming. The circular reception desk was completely cleared off, and sitting right on top was a glass vase of mysterious origin. It was filled with roadside wildflowers, yellow and white, leaning to the sides like a charming, messy countryside bouquet. I know what you are thinking, but it actually had a lot of charm. Shan Li stood by the second floor stairs, holding a marker and packing tape like she was prepping for battle. Luyuan spotted her. Wow, Shan Li, it is really you. She turned in surprise. Luyuan, what are you doing here? I blinked. Do you two already know each other? Luyuan gave me a playful smirk. Pretty girl's business. Stay out of it. Shan Li immediately smiled too. We were high school classmates. Perfect. That saves me the introductions. I nodded toward the stairs. Show me what you have done. Walked up to the second floor and froze. Every single glass panel in the hallway was covered in strips of tape, all labeled with a marker. Director's office, finance, human resources, and administration. Meeting room A, room B, reception, lounge, files. She had only been here for 3 hours. Absolutely insane. I walked down the hall as she explained everything like she owned the place. The second floor will be your main office hub. We will knock down the walls of 3 southern rooms for your executive office, complete with a private bathroom and lounge. Right next door, finance and human resources. We will keep both meeting rooms. We just need to buy some new projectors. End of the hall, an open break area. The staff will need room to breathe as we grow. The third floor is multi-use. Once we expand, we can turn it into more offices or a training center. Fourth and fifth floors will stay locked until we need them. We'll not touch the 6th floor grand hall. We will save it for major conferences or investor events. Lu Yuan followed us, trying and failing to hide her awe. When we reached the finance department sign, she could not resist. This room faces north. This place in the winter is going to cost a fortune. Shan Li turned around with a calm, serene smile. Finance needs focus. Facing north keeps the light stable with no annoying glares. Perfect for tracking numbers. As for heating, we can add insulation during construction or install efficient equipment and analyze those costs later. Lu Yuan was speechless. When a professional makes working in the cold sound like a strategic advantage, you just nod along. Stepped inside the space reserved for my office, about 80 square meters of natural light, overlooking Ingbin Avenue. We are gearing up for a massive shift. You won't want to miss what comes next. Let's check out this place together. Grey floors and empty walls. As lifeless as my social life. Furniture, wiring, and equipment. I was going to make the list, but Shinley already had an A4 sheet. Looked at it. And this wasn't some normal list, it looked like a military inventory with brands and models for everything. I calculated monthly ink usage and picked the exact brand for the hand dryers. She got here at 9 a.m. and already had opinions on hand dryers. Underneath there was a handwritten note, suggested using local suppliers for around 400,000 yuan. I asked her what time she arrived. 9, she said. All that in 3 hours. In her old human resources job, they relocated 3 times, and they always used her for all the heavy lifting. She installed network cables, carried heavy servers, and used power drills. This was nothing. I pocketed the list and walked to the window. Facing away from them, I ordered them to split the renovation work. Shinley would handle the planning and purchasing. Lu Yuan would manage the payments. Budget limit is 500,000 yuan, and buy everything locally. Want it ready in 10 days. 10 days, he shouted. Brother, my neighbor took 2 weeks to fix a bathroom. Hire 5 teams at once. Watch closely. She just rolled her eyes and dropped her bag of cheap eggs. She pulled out her notebook to run calculations. Finley didn't waste any time, nodding as she headed downstairs making a call. Her voice echoed from downstairs. Hello, is this the construction materials market? I wanted to ask about wholesale prices for office furniture. After that, everything went completely silent. I pulled the sticky note out of my pocket, showing 11 digits written in blue. The handwriting was ugly but very clear. I dialed, and after 6 rings, a raspy, rough voice answered. It was the tone of someone drowning in trouble. Hello, Mr. Wong. This is Lu from Yuning Investment Company. 2 seconds of silence passed. I do not know you. What do you want? I want to discuss Wanjifu. The silence returned, even longer. I take a deep drag of his cigarette before asking where I got his number from. A friend. What friend? Not matter. Leaned against the window. Mr. Wong, I know the situation with Wanjifu. 3rd floor restaurants are closed. The 2nd floor is over 30% vacant, and suppliers are downstairs demanding their money. But I know your real estate project in the city is not going well either. I heard his chair screech as he suddenly stood up. Who on earth are you? He shouted. The one who will give you money. Dead silence for about 6 seconds. And yeah, you and I can really feel the tension now. His defensive tone vanished, replaced by exhaustion and curiosity. He noted that Yuning was a newly registered investment company. 3 days ago, I bought the new district commercial building. 20 million yuan fully paid in cash. You do not believe me? Check with the housing office. This time I did not press him. All the patience in the world. And 60 million yuan arriving at midnight, no matter what. A minute later, he spoke directly. What exactly are you proposing? An investment or a game? Mr. Wong, I want to buy Wanjifu. On the other end, he let out a heavy sigh, carrying years of sleepless nights. Fine, tell me how you want to do this in person. The time and place for our meeting. Tomorrow afternoon at the Qingfong Pavilion at 3. I hung up and looked out the window at the horizon. It is not a grand view, but tomorrow we are going to sit face to face with a desperate man. We will negotiate the purchase of a dying mall to revive and transform it into something this town has never seen before. Just a typical Tuesday when you receive 60 million yuan a day and absolutely nothing can hold you back. The midnight system update arrived right on time, like a payout from the most generous boss in the world. 1 million yuan. 100 million yuan after my crazy purchase of an entire building, noodles and a foot massage. I could not sleep. 300 million in my account. I ran numbers on my phone like a student before an exam. Opened up my notes app and wrote down everything I knew about Wanjifu. 4 hectares, 6,000 square meters, 3 floors, built 5 years ago. Today it is losing money everywhere. Suppliers are demanding money, unpaid staff, and an owner drowning in debt from a failed real estate project. In the end, I wrote down 12 to 15 million. Stick with me to see if I actually pull this off. Get ready for this. because 55 million on paper just crashed down to 30. Honestly, that book value is a complete fantasy. Nobody in Yinming County has 30 million for a dying mole. Wang Dafa needed cold hard cash right now, not in 6 months. And in this county, those capable of closing this kind of deal could be counted on one hand. Nobody dared except me, the crazy guy with 60 million daily in a magic bank account. Next afternoon, 2:40, I drove over to the old district. Taos Street was tucked away in a stone-paved alley, surrounded by fake, renovated ancient buildings. Calling it Taos Street was generous for just 4 tea shops, mahjong parlors, and a herbal soap shop. Dingong Pavilion stood at the very end, a 2-story wooden building with a bamboo curtain. Stepping inside, the rich aroma of aged pu'er tea hit me instantly. That smell that tells you serious business goes down here. Downstairs, 2 old men played chess beside their enamel cups. Now watch closely. A voice from the stairs called out, "Mr. Liu." I looked up. Wang Dafa, around 50 years old, was short but broad-shouldered, wearing a loose, untucked, dark gray linen shirt. His face showed the deep exhaustion of a man who had not slept well in weeks. Dark circles under his eyes, but they remained sharp and calculating, sizing me up like a poker player reading a new rival. Any room, but now the room dominated him. "Mr. Wang," I greeted, walking up and extending my hand. His grip was firm but brief. Upstairs, in a private room with a wooden table, the tea was already brewed. Poured for me first, showing manners even as his world collapsed, then served himself. "You do not look very old," he remarked. 25. 25, he repeated bitterly, reaching out to grab his pack of cigarettes. A crumpled pack of soft chunghwa, an expensive brand but almost empty. Only 2 cigarettes left. Luxury wrapped in decay. A perfect metaphor for his current situation. Lit one and offered me the other. "I do not smoke, thank you." He took a long drag, exhaling smoke through his nose like a tired dragon. 25 years old, buying a building, starting a company, and now you want my mole. "Who is your father?" "Mr. Wang." Heroes do not ask about origins. Stared for 3 seconds but did not press. He has been negotiating for 20 years. He knows origins do not matter. Money does. "Jafu?" "Yes," I replied. "Your thoughts." I tasted the tea. Really good, smooth, leaving a subtle sweetness on the palate. I set down the cup. "Let me be direct. Wanjifu is a leaking pool. 3rd floor lost half its tenants. Vacancies on the 2nd floor exceed 30%. And downstairs, suppliers are already demanding their money. You owe the cleaners 3 months of wages." His face twitched. "You have clearly done your homework. I know what you are thinking. This is about to get messy." Stubbed out his cigarette, leaned in, and said, "Mr. Liu, when I acquired that land, the transfer fee alone cost 12 million. The 3 floors and equipment cost over 30 million. In total, 55 million. I know 55 million. How much are you offering?" Not reply immediately, letting the silence grow heavy. "Mr. Wang, that was 5 years ago. Commercial real estate is not gold, it depreciates. The main chillers are already turned off. Broken glass on the 2nd floor, and the upstairs children area is totally abandoned. The bull pit is so dusty I could write my name in it. Not been cleaned since last year." He clenched his jaw. "Those are just surface-level issues," he muttered quietly. "The location speaks for itself. It is the heart of the district. You won't find another plot like this in Yinming County." I nodded, agreeing with the location. But that only matters if what is on top of it actually generates value. And Wanjifu generates nothing, it only consumes. What is your monthly operating cost? Management, utilities, salaries, and interest on supplier debts. You are losing at least 200,000 a month. How much longer can you hold out? Direct hit. Wang Dafa stood and threw open the wooden windows. The wind rushed in, scattering the steam rising from the teacup. Back turned for 30 seconds. He barely whispered, "Give me a number." His face showed 1,000 emotions, none good. 15 million. Invested 55 and you offer 15. Checkmate. "Mr. Wang, let's be honest. If you don't sell, won't you just keep losing money? Wait for suppliers to sue and seize everything, or for an employee to report you to the Labor Department and hit the news." Stick with me as we watch him grab his last cigarette. His absolute final soldier lighting it up. 20 million, he exhaled. "Less than that, and the deal is dead." The moment he countered, I knew I had him. 15 million was an insult. He would have walked. Negotiating meant 15 was close. He was hurting. Just trying to minimize the pain. I shook my head. He gritted his teeth. 15. I stared at him with absolute calm. Mr. Wong, this is no flea market. Haggling like this is pointless. 15 million for a 55 million property. Sure, but I wagered everything that Wong Dafa had zero other options. Mr. Wong, correct me if I am wrong, but I am the only one who offered to buy Wanju, right? No response. Nobody else approached you. Simple, in this game, nobody wants to inherit another man's losses. In the entire Yinming County, I am the only savior who can take this burden off your hands. Still silent, stood up and straightened my shirt. Mr. Wong has not hit rock bottom just yet. Forgive my boldness. Since we cannot find a common ground, let us not waste any more of our time. Turning around, I headed straight for the stairs. No hesitation, no backward glances, just steady, confident strides. Walk of a man holding 300 million yuan in the bank, pretending he does not care about any of this, and almost brushed the bamboo curtain when a raspy voice echoed right behind me. Wait, watch closely here. And on the curtain, I slowly counted to 2, let go, and finally turned back around. Wafa had not moved an inch. His cigarette burned down to the filter, ash dangling, waiting to see my next move, staring down at his teacup as if it owed him a fortune. Sit down. His tone had shifted completely, the fight drained from him. I sat. He crushed his cigarette into the ashtray. The tray was already overflowing. A few old butts spilled onto the table, the casualties of our intense mental warfare. 16 million. Can we settle there? He stared. I shook my head. Kid, are you really dying on this hill over 1 million? Bought a whole building without even negotiating. Smiled Mr. Wong. That was an entirely different playing field. We are discussing Wanjifu now, and it is only worth my offer. 14 seconds of absolute heavy silence passed. I kept count. 15 million. Nodded. No handshakes. No epic music. No slow motion cuts of two guys making a deal. I know what you are thinking. $15 million deal sealed with tea and cigarettes. Welcome to tea house capitalism. We'll get a lawyer to draft the contract for tomorrow, he said. Do not bother waiting. Wong Dafa reached toward the window, grabbed a battered old briefcase, fumbled with the clasp, and pulled out a stack of documents, deeds, property certificates, and inventory lists, tenant leases, down one by one, claiming he brought everything. I glanced at the paperwork, then at him. This guy walked in swearing he would never go below 20 million, yet his briefcase was already packed with the deeds. He was ready to sell before even sitting down. This whole showdown was just theater, and we both knew it. Neither of us called it out, your attorney or mine. There is only one decent firm in this county, Jung Firm on Center Street. Dinner is Fong. Him Wong Dafa sent you. He will handle it. Deal, I said. I reached out my hand. This time his grip was firm, a shake that felt less like a greeting and more like goodbye. Mr. Liu. He let go of my hand and tried pouring one last cup from the empty teapot. Not a single drop. He set it down. I want to tell you some truth. Remembering Wanju's opening day, his gaze drifted away. Fireworks erupted across the entire block. Confetti rained down. Every single county official showed up to celebrate the launch. The magistrate cut the ribbon himself. In that glorious moment, I truly believed I was absolutely untouchable. Ended up building the biggest mall around. Everywhere I went, people called me Boss Wong. Once fought over who got to cover my bill. He paused. But you know what followed over the next 5 years. Year 1, I made bank. Before that cash could even warm up my pockets, the vultures circled. The fire department showed up at my doorstep, claiming my sprinklers failed safety codes. They demanded overhauls. Sure, I will do it, but only using their hand-picked contractors. Quotes came in at double the actual cost. Anyone else, and they slap a shutdown notice on your door weekly. Then the environmental agency showed up. Suddenly, my restaurant's emissions supposedly exceeded legal limits. Spent 600,000 hiring state experts to overhaul ventilation. Everything was fully up to standard. And trust me, that is how this world works. I paid 80,000 more and complied. 2 months later, another inspector arrived, bringing even more trouble. Mention here, because this is where city control claims his billboard crossed the line. The billboard location was approved after buying the land, but city management suddenly produced a completely different document. They updated the advertising regulations. Billboard, they demanded $3,000 a year for road usage. Then the tax office came to audit. They flagged fake irregular expense reports just to fine me. Months later, they returned with the exact same story. Claiming my corrections failed new rules to fine me again. The man tried to pour more tea, but the teapot was empty. The worst part happened in year 3. City land to develop a massive residential project. Official came looking for me. Building outside was fine, but warned me not to forget local duties, demanding $500,000 to sponsor his office event. I refused. Right after Wanjifu's fire safety certificate was up for renewal, they held it for 4 whole months without a single reply. Technically, the entire shopping mall should have been shut down. I lived in terror of a fire because then money wouldn't save me. In the end, I paid as his spirit visibly sagged. Not 500,000, I bargained it down to 300,000. Approval came next day and silence filled the room. Mr. Liu, I am not telling you this for pity, but watch closely here, because this final warning changes absolutely everything. You have wealth and youth. You think you can change this county. Small town is not Shanghai. Shanghai has its issues, but rules and processes are respected. Things are handled very differently. Power dictate the rules, and the process depends entirely on who they are facing. Do not understand how this place works. You will throw your money down a bottomless pit. Stared and thanked Mr. Wang. Do not thank me, he replied, while packing his briefcase, walking to the door and stopping without looking back. The name Wanjifu? No. What will the new name be then? Not decided yet. He nodded, parted the bamboo curtain and left. Heard his steps slowly descending the wooden stairs until they faded completely. I sat there alone, carefully turning over every single word he said. Environment, city control, taxes. Every department was a mandatory roadblock. Each checkpoint had a gatekeeper, and everyone had a price. When I worked in social media, I thought dealing with difficult clients was the hardest thing ever. Turns out, clients are innocent lambs compared to corrupt bureaucrats, armed with official stamps and zero morals. And let's be honest, we all saw this blow coming. When purchasing the office building, the Finance Bureau tried to seize 30% of all my future profits. They disguised it as supporting local development, but it was straight extortion. Suddenly my phone rang. It was Zhao Yan from Land Resources. His voice trembled with excitement as he informed me he had already submitted the industrial to commercial land conversion. He said we could treat this as a high priority project to fast track the paperwork, though it would be tough. By working together, the commercial complex would rise soon. I smirked and told him I changed my mind. I no longer needed to convert those 100 industrial hectares into a mall because I had a different plan for that land. I had just bought a commercial complex for 15 million yuan from a defeated man back at the tea house. He handed me something far more valuable than property deeds, a map of every hidden landmine beneath this county's friendly surface. Youngshin law firm was nestled right between a print shop and a liquor store on the main central street. The bronze plaque on the door had green rust creeping over its worn-out letters, a detail that did not inspire much confidence. Pushed open the glass door. The receptionist was a round-faced, fresh graduate with thick glasses, editing a contract template on her computer screen. Me a paper cup filled with warm water. The rim had loose paper fibers, which I chose to view as rustic charm rather than cheap office supplies. The waiting room had 2 couches, yellowed law journals looking like historical relics on the table, and grateful client silk banners hanging on the wall. The most recent one was from 2 years ago. You could tell business was slow. In the back office, a sharp female voice dissected a legal case with surgical precision. The core ground for terminating this contract is the other party's severe material breach. Their warning lacks standing and they might strike back. Don't blink, because 2 minutes later that door finally swung open. Come along with me to meet Fu, a stunning 30-something lawyer in a sharp, tailored black suit. Barely any makeup, neat eyebrows, and a subtle lipstick that screamed professionalism. She had absolutely nothing to prove to anyone. A classic watch rested on her left wrist. Elegant, subtle, yet perfect. Honestly, she looked way too classy for this rundown law office. This woman belonged in some glass skyscraper in Shanghai, not this peeling office squeezed between a print shop and a liquor store. Spotted me on the couch, pausing for a brief second, sizing up what a 20-something kid was doing in her office. Ni Fong, I am Liu. Wang Dafa sent me, I said. Her face remained completely blank. Total indifference. Flawless, serious, and deeply professional look. Come in, she said. Her office was small but spotless, dominated by a massive, imposing solid wood desk. Files lined up with military precision and sorted perfectly by color. The shelves were packed with heavy law books. Several of them were so worn down from constant use that the titles on the spines had almost completely faded. Framed photos, one at court, another at an event. In both she wore that classic guarded lawyer smile. Sitting down, she opened her laptop, her long, elegant fingers swiftly pulling up a blank document. Your Pure efficiency. Dafa called me. You are buying Wonjifu and need a contract, right? He agreed on 15 million yuan. Her hands paused. She locked eyes with me, then looked back at the screen. Full payment, she asked. Full payment. Not question the high price. Professional discretion I highly respected. Let us review the assets involved, she suggested. Lawyer mode fully activated. The building and the land use rights. Exactly. Fixed assets, shelves, refrigeration units, fire systems, elevators, and the central air conditioning. Anything bolted to the ground. Want to keep the WJU brand, she asked.
No, I am renaming it.
We'll keep all employees at first on new contracts, then adjust later. Finished typing and stopped, folding her hands over the keyboard. One question. Go ahead, have you checked Wanjifu's financial situation regarding outstanding debts? My eyebrow twitched. She quietly pulled a thick folder from a drawer and opened it slowly. I have worked with Wong Dafa for 5 years and drafted the original Wanjifu contract. I was also his legal advisor on his real estate projects. Slid the folder to the center of the desk. This is not about breaking client privilege, but ensuring you know exactly what kind of ground you are stepping on. Because if you sign blindly, you are not buying a business. You are buying a time bomb. I opened it. Page 1, a court notice. Plaintiff is a food supplier, suing for breach of sales contract. The amount is 1.2 million yuan from last month. Chemical lawsuit for 870,000. More pages follow. I kept flipping through. 7 lawsuits, 2 arbitrations, 1 labor dispute, totaling over 6 million yuan. I shut the folder. Those are only the formally registered cases, the lawyer told me with a calm voice. Plenty more that has not hit the courts yet, with suppliers demanding payments off the record. From what I know, adding another 3 to 4 million, Wanjifu is dragging 10 million in debt. Dead silence filled the room. You and I both know that 15 million minus 10 million in debt means he leaves with only 5. She stared at me. He is not selling because of your negotiating skills. He needs exactly 5 million to patch up another urgent crisis, so that is why he agreed so fast. And there I was, feeling like a business genius. In the end, the price did not depend on the store itself. It depended on the fire he had to extinguish with those 5 million yuan. I was just a fire extinguisher to him, not an actual buyer. To talk about a reality check. Do these debts follow the physical assets or do they stay with the person? I asked her. You do a stock acquisition and buy the entire company, the debts transfer over to you. They would become your problem. Only buy the physical assets and not the entity. The debt stays with him. An asset acquisition, then we need an indemnity clause stating this purchase only covers specified assets without assuming any prior debts or obligations of the company. Also, DAFA must guarantee in writing that the transferred assets are fully free of mortgages, liens, or any legal burdens. Began typing again while I leaned back to watch her work. Green light lit up her profile, highlighting her sharp features. Fully focused, she frowned slightly with pressed lips. She carved those clauses like a surgeon. 10 minutes later, she turned the screen. Pay attention to clauses 4, 7, and 12. You and I are just getting started. Join me as we look at this. I analyzed 16 dense but perfect clauses. Number 4 detailed the assets. Section 7 defined payments and deadlines. 12 was the breach penalty. After reading everything, I pointed to 7 to pay in 2 parts. 10 million upon signing and 5 million when the property transfer is fully completed. He nodded and changed the numbers. Then I pointed to a detail in 12. The penalty was only 10%. Way too low. Raise it to 30%. Made the change and asked if I studied law. No, but I know how to read a contract. In that brief moment, I knew this woman was brilliant, thorough, and highly professional. She actually cared about doing things right in a county packed with cheaters and scammers looking for an easy way out. A true professional who loved her work. Finding her in a place like this was like finding a diamond in the mud. Attorney Fong, I stood up. Will I have the final draft today at 6? Just one more thing. Big clients right now. She blinked, confused. Company needs permanent legal counsel. If you have time, name your price. Because for the first time, we can see something shift behind those calm eyes. It was not actual shock, but pure interest. Attorney Fong leaned back and tapped her desk twice. The universal sign she was calculating if I was worth her time. Permanent legal counsel, exactly. My company will have many acquisitions, employment contracts, and construction projects. Need a solid attorney on a monthly retainer. She grabbed her pen, uncapped it, capped it, then uncapped it again. a classic nervous habit. She was thinking, Mr. Liu, I will be honest, I have practiced law in this Yinming County for 8 years. In that time, I had fewer than 20 corporate clients. Most only wanted me to clean up disasters, debts, or labor complaints. Only 2 businesses hired me as real counsel. One was Wong Dafa's Wanjafu. The other was the local water company. Put down the pen. The reason is simple: local businesses are tiny, with clueless owners. To them, paying an attorney is basically just throwing money away. They only remember us when they are drowning in trouble and need someone to clean up. In diplomatic words, 70% of my workload is civil lawsuits, 20% divorces, and only 10% corporate law. Read between the lines. So you are saying you are available. She gave an almost imperceptible nod. I'm saying you must decide if you want someone who just signs papers and looks pretty, or a real partner solving real problems. The second option. Then my yearly rate is 120,000 yuan. Reviews and lawsuits are extra. 2,000 a day. Deal. You and I know that is a lot of cash, but for her a simple blink showed absolute shock. Will not negotiate. Attorney Fong, for worthy people I never bargain. 2 seconds of silence. Then I will email the acquisition contract and service agreement by 6 today. I will save you the trip. I stood up to leave, but before walking out, I asked where she was from. Yinming County. Have you always been here? She stopped typing and said no. University, then 3 years at a big firm before returning. Come back. Not answer. She just bowed her head and kept typing. At 6 p.m. Check your inbox. I did not push further and walked out under bright sunshine. Electric trikes lined up on the curb. Lady sold cold noodles, pouring chili oil into plastic bowls with the total confidence of doing it 10,000 times. The classic daily routine here. Got in the car and texted the others to meet at the building by 6. On the drive back, I mentally evaluated my team: Lu Yuan in finance and Shun Li in human resources. Fong Yu as legal counsel plus me. 4 people for a company with 100 million registered capital, with 2 starting today. It was honestly an absolute professional circus. Lemonade stand pretending to be a financial giant, but we must build the stage before performing the play. Running to the building, I saw the lobby had changed yet again in my absence. Junli had somehow made a water dispenser with a full jug appear at reception. No idea how she pulled that off. Printed sheets with our investment firm name and a new logo. Simple cloud with a slogan underneath taking root in Yunming, investing in the future. Stared at it. Did you design this? She popped her head out from the second floor, saying it was just a quick draft. We will get a pro design later, but for now, trust me, this is only the beginning. Get ready, because you and I are about to watch how I spent my afternoon sorting through Wong Dafa's papers, property deeds, and contracts. After that, I researched commercial real estate acquisitions online and compared them step by step with the actual situation at Wanjifu. Media guy studying massive corporate mergers on Google. So ironic. And at 4:30 p.m., 2 emails from Fonggu arrived: acquisition contract and the representation agreement. Opened them up and analyzed every single word with absolute undivided attention. Lin was an absolute machine. 15 clauses plus 4 annexes. Completely shut down every single possible loophole. Clause 4 detailed every single piece of Wong Dafa's equipment by brand, model, quantity, and depreciated value. And Clause 12 set the breach penalty at 30%. Exactly what I requested, but with a brilliant extra she added herself. Seller hides any asset defects. The buyer can demand double the transferred funds. I never even asked her for that clause, simply because she is incredibly good at her job. She was protecting me from serious problems that had not even crossed my mind yet. I think I just fell in love with her legal work. Personally speaking, of course. 6 p.m. ground floor. 3 folding chairs sat in a semicircle right in front of the reception desk. Cups of water sat by the dispenser next to a bag of cheap pastries Lu Yuan bought at Wanju because she physically cannot resist a discount. Lu Yuan sat on the left, notebook open and pen behind her ear. Finley on the right, phone locked, hands on her knees, looking completely professional, even if this meeting was just 3 people and cheap pastries. I stood directly behind the counter, with a glass vase of crooked wildflowers sitting right behind my back. Now, you and I need to watch this key moment closely. I announced that the Wangjiafu contract was ready. We sign with Wang Dafa tomorrow. First payment, 10 million. Final payment after property transfer, 5 million. Lu Yuan, this goes directly on the company account. She nodded, writing furiously in her notebook. Second, after taking control of Wangjiafu, we are doing a total overhaul. Finley, start researching our staffing needs tomorrow. Shopping mall needs at least 1 store manager, 3 department supervisors, and 30 entry-level employees. Analyze the local job market. Let us see what we find. Finley immediately asked about the salary range. Base salary starts at 5,000, 30% above the local average. Department supervisors will earn 7,000. We'll negotiate the manager's pay case by case. Notes rapidly on her phone, searching recruitment channels. This county does not use big job platforms like Bots, GPN, or Leapin. We will use traditional methods, hang a giant banner outside Wafu, run targeted TikTok ads for this specific area, post in the local WeChat groups for every single township in the county. In a place like this, you do not recruit through apps, rely on classic word of mouth. And the first group, and they will bring their cousins, neighbors, and their whole family. He nodded at me, but here is the big one. I looked directly at Shinli to discuss renovating Wangjiafu. I need you to hire the absolute best design team. Site surveys, blueprints, construction, using Pangdong Lai as our reference. Want incredible service details, top-tier design, and unmatched quality. And I think there would be a limit. Finley asked about the budget, and I said no limit. Absolute silence hit the lobby. Lu Yuan's pen stopped moving, and Shinli froze her fingers right over her screen. And the wildflowers seemed to droop. With 300 million yuan in my account, growing 60 million daily, I had nothing to spend it on. Dropping the budget limit was not generosity. It was pure desperation disguised as massive ambition. Reset at midnight. Daily gift arrived. They deposited 60,024,700 yuan. Total balance received 360 million. Tomorrow I would spend 10 million signing the Wangjiafu contract. Sounds huge until you realize I make that sleeping for 4 hours. My bank account was basically a bathtub with the plug in and the faucet running at absolute full blast. And here I was, trying to scoop water out with a tiny coffee cup. Morning, 9:30, second floor. Finley was there since dawn, completely transforming this abandoned, dusty construction site room into a legitimate corporate business center. She wiped the table 3 times and dragged 6 heavy chairs all the way up from the basement storage, placing a fresh bottle of water and a clean copy of the contract in front of every single seat, and brought a green vine plant from her own home and set it in the corner. Lu Yuan asked where it came from. My house. This woman was literally putting together an entire corporate office, using nothing but sheer willpower and her own personal houseplants. In 45, Fongu arrived looking totally different, wearing a sharp wool coat over a navy blue suit and a silver brooch, into the room and nodded. And trust me, you and I both know the real fun is just getting started. Let's dive right into this dramatic recap. By the window and opened her briefcase, laying out 3 original contracts, 2 addendums, and a guarantee with flawless, geometric precision. This woman's desk looked like it was organized using a high-precision laser level, and in the morning, an engine rumbled downstairs as a grey Toyota Camry pulled into the plaza. Wang Dafa stepped out of the car looking quite elegant, dark pants and a white shirt, but the collar was massive, loose as if the fabric remembered a much heavier version of him, a man completely consumed by his troubles, followed closely by manager Lu, who looked like a hostage trying to act natural, went down to greet them. Entering the lobby, Wang Dafa stared at the 5-meter-high ceiling and nodded. Nice place, Mr. Lu, he remarked, and sat down, leaving Wang Dafa and me face to face. Fong was on my right, Lu Yuan sat to my left, and Shunli took notes from the back. Lu sat down so nervously he barely edged the chair, guarding his stomach. Fong opened the contract, citing 16 annex clauses. Can explain the key points or skip what you have already reviewed. Skip it, said Wang Dafa. He went straight to the last page to check the signature, then flipped back to clause 4, the 3-page asset list. Every single item at Wangjiafu was catalogued. From compressor models down to the number of toilet paper holders in the restrooms. Fong was so incredibly thorough she actually counted the restroom fixtures. This woman is truly terrifying. He stayed quiet. Now watch closely here as we look at clause 7, 10 million today and 5 million after transfer. Closed the contract and leaned back, noting that Attorney Fong's work is flawless, as always. He looked at us both, suggesting we sign. 3 pens appeared, and first and stamped my print, but Wang Dafa hesitated. He held the pen for 3 silent seconds, staring at the paper while Lu peeked to verify the contract amount. His Adam's apple bobbed nervously, and Wang Dafa sighed deeply. He pressed down so hard the paper indented, carving his name to mark the end of an era. Originals, 1 for him, 1 for me, and 1 for Fong Yu. Luyan, make the transfer. Opened the laptop. Recipient Wang Dafa. Amount 10 million. Password confirmed. Beep sounded, sending 10 million yuan flying through the vast digital universe. Wang Dafa pulled out his phone and stared at the screen, where a long line of zeros filled his notifications. He pocketed it and sighed. No, you and I can both feel that relief, like exhaling 5 years of intense pressure. Attorney Fong, please handle the remaining paperwork. Everything is set, so we can start tomorrow. Meeting adjourned. Finley gathered the documents, while Lu Yuan photographed the bank receipt to log it. Lu stood up and shook out his legs, numb from sitting on edge for 30 minutes. Ordered Wang Dafa downstairs. Suddenly, he paused and glanced around, making sure we were completely alone and the others remained upstairs. Leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Kid, let me tell you something extra." That Attorney Fong, he searched for the word, is professional and extremely responsible. I simply nodded. I'd already realized that. Obviously, scanning the room like a spy sharing secret. Her background is complicated. What do you mean? She is related to Judge Xiao, the county court president. They say he is her uncle, or maybe her aunt's husband. No one knows the exact connection, but it is solid. Think about it. She graduated from Yangzhou and found success provincially. Then out of nowhere, she returns to this county. Why? The connection like that, any legal trouble in Yinmi gets settled with a simple call. Unexpected insider info noted. Noticing my lack of reaction, he figured I did not get it, so he ventured into territory I never asked for. Also, one more thing. He cleared his throat with a highly suggestive expression. She is single, never married. Sure, she is a bit older, but look at her. Does she look 30? You could say 18 and be believed. Incredible figure, fantastic personality. She does not smoke, drink, or even play mahjong. Never saw her dine with a man. A woman like that is a treasure, Mr. Lu. Stared at him for 2 seconds before replying that I hired Attorney Fong as my lawyer, not my matchmaker. He laughed without any shame. I was just saying. Young guy like you, your career is important, but you must think about life. Does your mom not press you? Ignored him and opened the car door. Walked to his car, giving us one last look. Trust me, you and I are about to watch a gripping story unfold. Kid, the stage in Yuming is no longer mine. I'm officially stepping down. It is all yours now. Smiled, waved goodbye, and watched his dusty Camry disappear around the corner. The man who built the county's biggest mall, swallowed up by the system and leaving in a dirt cheap car. Stick with me, because his former empire now belongs to us, thanks to our system. There was something tragic, yet deeply educational about watching him leave. Headed back upstairs. Feng Yu was packing with her usual efficiency. Everything is ready. Tomorrow I will submit the transfer documents. The property certificate should be ready in 3 to 5 business days. Thank you. Snapped, her briefcase closed, stood up, and stopped right beside me. Mr. Lu, what were you and Wang Dafa whispering about? Nothing. He just gave me some operational advice on managing Wanjiafu. Simply stared at me. I know you are lying, and I know exactly what he told you because that guy has 0 discretion. Not push, leaving with her briefcase. Professional right down to the last second. Just then, Shenli showed up with her tablet. Mr. Lu, I contacted 3 design firms for Wanjiafu, one in Zhengzhou, one in Wuhan, and one in Xuchang. The Xuchang team is the fastest for a site inspection. They can come tomorrow. He made a dramatic pause. They actually designed Pangdonglai's Times Square and Angel City, the firm behind those legendary landmark stores. Because what happens next is going to change everything. No budget limits, the best team, and a 360 million fund growing by 60 million every single night. Yunming County had no idea what was about to hit them. The design firm sent 3 of their very best people. Their leader, He Mingyuan, was in his 40s, wearing a grey linen jacket over a black turtleneck with silver-streaked hair that screamed expensive designer and the vibe of someone who takes his work incredibly seriously. Following closely behind were two young rookies. The guy was lugging the measuring equipment like a total pack mule, while the girl dragged a suitcase stuffed with blueprints, looking like she was checking into some super nerdy hotel. They left Chuchang at 7 a.m. and drove for an hour. Shenli welcomed them and showed them upstairs. He had grabbed breakfast downstairs, some delicious fried dough sticks with hot, spicy pepper soup. Because in this company, hospitality meant serving street food in a conference room that still smelled like fresh paint. Bingyin sat down, scanning the room before eating, analyzing the space like an architect reading a building's soul. Brand new projector still inside its box, and a whiteboard with its plastic protective wrap still intact. Plastic-wrapped folding chairs. "How long have you guys been operating?" he asked. "Single week," Shenli replied. He nodded silently. "I know what you're thinking, this is completely crazy, but by 8:40 I finally arrived. I parked my Maybach." Quickly swallowing the last bite of the steamed bun I was eating inside the car, threw away the wrapper, wiped my hands, and headed up. First impressions matter, even with a roadside breakfast. "Mr. Liu, let me introduce Director He from Dingyuan Space," Shenli said. Stood up, studying me, doubting my reality. He had dealt with gold chain-wearing coal barons and suited property developers, but a 20-year-old kid was entirely new. "Pleasure to meet you, Director." I shook his hand. "Likewise," he said, sitting down. "Your manager mentioned you want to renovate a 6,000 square meter shopping mall, benchmarked against Pangdonglai." "Not benchmarked," I replied. "We are surpassing them," he smirked. Smug smile a world-class chef gives when a rookie claims they can cook better. "Mr. Liu, we designed Pangdonglai's Times Square. 70% of their success lies in their service philosophy and management system. Design is only 30%. You can beat them in physical space, but without everything else, it is useless, which is why I need you to make that 30% flawless. I will handle the rest." He nodded, thoughtful. "All right, let's head over to the site." Two luxury cars drove toward Wangjiafu, Maybach leading the way with their SUV trailing behind the classic convoy of a wealthy guy and someone about to learn why. Mingyon stepped out, staring at Wangjiafu's broken LED sign with half its letters completely missing from the facade. Saying nothing, he just pulled out his phone and snapped a photo like an archaeologist documenting ancient ruins. The moment he stepped inside, he transformed into a precision machine, thoroughly inspecting every section of the ground floor, walking, pausing, taking photos, and measuring aisle widths with a tape. Designers shadowed his every move. One shot lasers at the ceiling, the other sketched layouts. "Come along with me to see what happens on the second floor." Come along with me as we see him standing before those empty shops, touching the cold aluminum frame with deep regret. He scraped the surface like a detective hunting for clues of the past, then casually ordered them to tear it all down. Dinah quickly noted it down on her tablet. Third floor, the creepy abandoned children's play zone. He stared at the dusty ball pit and the deflated inflatable in the corner, which looked like a massive, lifeless trash bag. Sitting down, he inspected the structure, questioning if the floor could handle the weight and asking for the original blueprints. "Yes, I will send them over immediately." The entire walkthrough took nearly 2 hours, and down 3 times, photographing everything from emergency exits to the electrical breaker panels. More detail-oriented than a forensic detective, back at the office, he plugged in his tablet to show the photos. "Let's get straight to the point," he said, standing before the projection. "Main structure works, great height and well-spaced columns, but the internal layout of the walls is a total disaster." Pointing to a panoramic shot of the first floor, he noted the hallways are only 1.6 meters wide, causing immediate jams. Those 2.2-meter shelves block out all natural light, making the entire space feel dark and completely suffocating. Moving to the second floor, those glass partitions chop the area into tiny booths of under 20 square meters each. Now watch closely here, because this terrible layout looks like some dusty 2010 market. Look at the third floor. Here lies the worst of it. Ventilation is ancient, blowing kitchen smoke directly back into the main dining area. The kids zone isn't separated from the restaurants. A massive, dangerous safety hazard. Shutting off the projector, he stared right at me. offering a simple facelift for under 3 million. If you seriously want to beat Pangdong Lai, he paused dramatically. This guy absolutely mastered building suspense. Then we have to tear down everything to the bare bones. What's the specific plan? I asked him. Being a marker, he sketched a 3-level rectangle on the board, outlawing any boring traditional supermarket on level 1. We'll build a premium fresh market with community hubs, 3-meter wide aisles, and 0 fixed annoying shelves. Using mobile displays that shift around will keep things exciting. Next, he drew sweeping curves across the second floor. Level 2, we gut the entire space to make a massive open brand experience. Central panoramic walkway will showcase neatly categorized shopping zones, leading up to a massive experiential third floor. One half will be an upscale themed food alley with a genuine classy atmosphere, totally unlike those greasy food stalls, and the other. I know what you're thinking, is this realistic? With libraries, family spaces, and theaters, customers will stay 2 hours longer, a 45-day deadline. Design and management will run 1.2 million, not counting construction costs. That's at least 8 million, potentially 10. Beside me, Lu Yuan was breaking into a cold sweat writing down those numbers. Can you get this done in 30 days? I asked. But he shook his head. Can double the crew and run 24-hour shifts, but imported materials will take too long to arrive. Atrium's tempered glass and custom displays take 20 days to ship. 35 days is my absolute limit. Here's a deal. Walked over to the board, studying his drawings, and fees would be paid in full the moment we sign, and the actual building costs will be paid in installments. I need to draft the formal proposal right away. Give me about 5 days. I will pull some overtime. By the time their team left, it was already 1 in the afternoon. Lu Yuan grabbed some fast food, and the 3 of us sat in reception, eating like tired construction workers. Talk about a glamorous lifestyle. Finley mumbled through a bite of pork, saying there was something I needed to know. I kept eating. What's wrong? Someone came looking for you very urgently. Didn't leave a name. 40-ish, wearing a black jacket, driving a white Range Rover, and specifically asking for you. I said you were out. It wasn't urgent and promised to stop by some other time to chat. But before driving off, he spent 5 minutes taking photos of our building. Froze mid-bite, and Lu Yuan stared at me. A white Range Rover. In this tiny county, almost nobody drives a car like that. Finley quickly pulled up a photo. He had snapped it from the second-floor window, showing the luxury white truck idling on the edge of the lot. Local plates, perfectly clear. I stared deeply at the photo. In Yunming, nobody parks a luxury car just to snap pictures. It isn't tourism, it is spying. And you and I know a massive storm is coming. Come along with me on this journey. Sent the photo to Land Office Chief Zhao Yan. Zhao, does this car look familiar? Not even 10 seconds after I hit send, my phone started ringing. He was calling immediately, skipping the texting entirely. Mr. Liu, his voice sounded incredibly tense. How did this person find you? Man, that does not sound good at all. I do not know him, I said, switching hands. Why do not you tell me whose it is? Mr. Liu, I know that guy. It is Hu Kuei. He made his fortune in construction materials, supposedly, and Zhao dropped his voice to a conspiratorial whisper. On the surface, he sells supplies. But the real money is in every municipal project in Yunming over the last 10 years. School renovations, government buildings, every single material goes directly through him. He has been operating here for 15 years, with connections on top and thugs on the bottom, leaned back, processing everything. That commercial building caused a stir. Now you have taken over Wanjifu as well. That means the 2 largest commercial properties in the district fell to a young outsider in just 1 week. Listen closely here, because a massive renovation like Wanjifu changes the entire playing field. Building materials, finishing work, all of that means millions in orders. Back when Wang Dafa ran the place, all that work went to Hu Kuei. Now you arrive and take his business away. Connected the dots immediately. This county is way too small, just taken 2 massive slices, and the guy who ate the whole pie for 15 years was glaring at me. Thanks, Chief. I will handle it. The next morning at 10 a.m., Hu Kuei showed up again, and he came prepared. His white Range Rover parked right in the middle of the plaza, like he owned it. Young assistant grabbed 2 boxes from the trunk. One Maotai Flying Ferry Edition, original sealed case. Market price nearly 20,000 yuan. The classic Chinese corporate bribe, I mean gift. Box 2 vouchers for an 8-pack of premium Yangcheng Lake hairy crabs. Nothing says let us be friends quite like luxury, liquor, and expensive seafood. Adjusting my collar in the mirror, I headed down. Lu Kuei was already waiting at the reception desk, wore the exact same black jacket from the photos, but today with a popped collar blue polo underneath. Standing 5'9", stocky with thick fingers, his face clearly showed years of heavy banquets and business drinking. Not fat, just bloated from corporate life. And trust me, his smile when he saw me was the fakest thing ever. He took 2 quick steps forward, hand outstretched. "Mr. Liu, what an honor. Welcome, Mr. Hu." He shook my hand and slapped my shoulder. "Intimacy some businessmen use as a weapon. Came yesterday, but missed you. Had to return today to congratulate you on your new headquarters." He immediately gestured to his assistant. The assistant brought the 2 boxes in, placing them on the counter like a sacred offering. Just a small gesture, nothing special. Stared at the boxes. 20,000 yuan in Mao Tai and crab vouchers. Super casual, nothing special. Just like a Ferrari is just a car. "Mr. Hu, you are far too generous. Not reject them, but I did not touch them either. Let us talk upstairs." Finley brought 2 teas to the office. As she handed him his cup, I noticed him staring at her for half a second before looking away. I filed that mental note. "Mr. Liu, you are truly impressive for your age." He held his teacup like a prop. "Been in this industry for 20 years and never seen a 20-year-old acquire an asset this big. You flatter me." "It is no flattery," he said, setting down the cup. "Yesterday, when I stopped by, I only spoke briefly with your receptionist. After I left, I did a little digging. That is when I learned Mr. Liu did not just buy this building, but also Wang Dafa's Wanjifu." I took a sip of tea. Calm as a lake. 15 million for Wanjifu. Fair price for a shopping center that was rotting away. Having someone take it off their hands is doing them a favor. He knew the exact number. Of course he did. In Yunming, information travels faster than light. Building purchase leaked straight from the government office itself. The Wanjifu deal leaked either through Wang Dafa's big mouth or from his manager. A secret only lasts around here if no humans are involved. "Mr. Hu, I assume you did not just come to bring gifts. Speak freely." Mr. Liu gets straight to the point. I like that. He set down his tea and leaned forward. "I heard you are completely renovating Wanjifu. That is the plan. And renovation means construction. And construction requires materials. Cement, steel, panels. Everything goes through me and my expert crew. We ready to see what happens next? Join me for this next part." He held up 5 fingers, offering everything at half price for Mr. Liu. Half price materials. That would slash my building costs in half. Any normal businessman, this would be like winning the lottery out of nowhere. Irresistible. Not make 60 million a day by being stupid. Well, I actually got it for doing nothing, and so there is no such thing as free. Bill is just hidden. "I appreciate the offer, Mr. Hu, but a 50% discount. What do you gain?" He was expecting exactly that question. Hands on his knees. "Mr. Liu, I have been selling construction materials for 20 years. Half of the local roads, bridges, and buildings use my products, but business dropped. Fewer projects and a dead housing market. Machines are completely idle, but my employees still need to get paid every month. With or without orders, you are investing here. Building, renovating, restoring. Your volume will not be small. I give you half-price materials and you give me a long-term contract. My lines run, your costs drop, everyone wins." His logic seemed flawless, but there was something he was not saying. In that long-term exclusivity contract, your materials would be in every single wall, floor, and ceiling of everything I was building. He would dictate the quality, deadlines, and payments. That 50% discount was nothing but bait. Attention here, guys, the trap was still hidden. Stood up, walked to the window, and turned around smiling. "Mr. Hu, I truly appreciate your offer. Tempting, but even though my company is new, we must follow correct procedures. With such a massive acquisition, I cannot just skip the official bidding process. My future board would not accept it, and my legal team would never approve." His smile remained completely frozen. His eyes were not smiling. "How about this? Bidding documents as soon as possible. And your company, Kuing Building Materials, is highly welcome to participate in this competitive bidding process. Your capacity, winning the contract is guaranteed, right? Public bidding." His eyes shifted behind that fake smile. Stood up, brushing invisible dust off his pants, a classic move to buy more time. "Your approach is highly professional." Walked to the door, paused, turned back around, and added, "Mr. Liu, being new here, you might not know that projects in Yinming never go through bidding." I'm dead in the eye. "I know what you guys are thinking, but I made it clear nobody demanded it before." And he smiled again, tapped the doorframe, and said, Interesting. I will be waiting for your bidding announcement. His leather shoes echoed loudly down the stairs. Soon the roar of a car engine faded into the distance. Finley appeared in the doorway, leaning. He is gone. He finally left. What about the Matai liquor and the crabs? Return them. No return address. I paused. Keep them then. We'll open the Matai at the company dinner. Then find his business details and send him an equivalent gift. Never owe anyone anything. Understood. She hesitated. One more thing. About the Wanjifu transfer. Lawyer Fong just messaged. The office says they cannot process it right now. I froze in my tracks. Finley handed me her phone. Fong's message had only a single line. Wanjifu land has an unregistered mortgage pending. The mortgagee is Cooing Building Materials. Froze reading that. Mr. Hu's company has a mortgage on my purchase. End of the building I just paid $15 million for had Hukua's name on it like a chain. 50% discount, the Mata liquor, the friendly pats on the back, that fake smile about doing business. He did not come to be my supplier. He came to show he already had me completely under his control. Stared at that line on the screen for 5 long seconds. Mortgage Cooing Building Materials Limited. Mr. Hu's company was sitting on my land like a giant toad. Handed the phone back to Shinley, walked over and grabbed my tea. Completely cold and bitter, just like revenge. Perfect. Lu Yuan poked her head out from the finance office. He'd seen the message too. Brother, what does this mean? Wang Dafa mortgaged Wanjifu to Huai. Ignoring her, I called Fong Yu. It rang twice. Lawyer Fong, what did you find out? Her voice was as steady as a heart monitor. Years ago, Wang Dafa needed $300,000 to renovate those third-floor restaurants. Short on cash, he borrowed $3 million from Hu Kuai, putting up the Wanjifu land as collateral. And paid off? That is the problem. She paused. I went to the housing office today and pulled the file. The deadline passed in June. If paid, it should be cancelled. You and I are about to see this get incredibly messy. All right, let's jump into this absolute mess together. Did he pay, or is he dodging the debt? I called Wang Dafa. Seems he paid ages ago, but Hu Kuei is intentionally stalling the cancellation. Both parties must sign in person to release the mortgage. The creditor refuses to show up. You can't cancel it unilaterally. And there was the trap, clear as day. He likely paid those $3 million. Until Hu Kuei signs, that mortgage locks up the Wanjifu land like a padlock. No cancellation, no transfer. Without that transfer, my $10 million down payment would just be a massive donation for Wang Dafa's retirement. Yesterday, this guy was bringing me expensive food gifts, patting my back, calling me brother, and offering massive discounts. Today, his company is blocking my property transfer. First the sweet talk, then the knife. Classic and brilliant. I'd be impressed if I weren't the one getting stabbed. Lawyer Fong. Is there a legal way to force this cancellation? Yes, but it is incredibly slow. He never sugars the truth. Wang Dafa has the bank records to prove he cleared the debt. We can ask the court to declare the mortgage terminated, and then use that ruling to cancel it unilaterally. Standard process takes at least 3 months. The fast track 6 weeks still way too slow. Now pay attention here because there is a legal trick. You can actually transfer the property with the active mortgage. Watch out, even after the transfer, the mortgage stays locked to the property, meaning the building would be mine, but with that guy's name tattooed right at the bottom. Like buying a house where your enemy holds the key. No thanks. Any other options? Voice drop. There is one more way. The payment records are clean. You can freeze the mortgage rights pre-trial and demand an accelerated hearing. How fast are we talking? In business days. Do it, Mr. Liu. This requires you to post a security bond. It is usually 100% of the disputed amount. $3 million. That is nothing. She paused. Hu Kuei holds massive influence in this county. Things under the table. Our fast-track case goes standard. Gripped the phone and stared out the window, thinking back to my conversation with Wang Dafa at the tea house. Then I asked, Lawyer Fong, how well do you know Chief Justice Xiao? There was a brief silence. I did not ask how I knew about her connection to Justice Xiao. It was smart, knowing that secrets do not last in this town. He is my uncle, my father's sister's husband. 5 words, simple and clear. Then I need you to call him Mr. Liu. Her tone remained completely firm. I can call him. But I want you to understand this is not about pulling political favors. It is about speeding up legal efficiency. A case with solid evidence deserves to be fast-tracked. That is its purpose. Understood. You and I both know I will get those documents. I will call Wong Duffer today to organize all his bank receipts. Everything is in order. We file the lawsuit the day after tomorrow. Thank you. Doing my job, it is covered by my fee. I hung up and placed the phone on the desk. Lu Yuan walked in, clutching her notebook. Brother Hu Kuei did this on purpose, right? Obviously. What is his play? You to buy his supplies. My head. Materials are just a front. What he wants is long-term control. A new guy arrives in town throwing money around like crazy. He would be a terrible predator if he did not try to bite. Senior network would judge him for missing this huge opportunity. Give in. That actually made me laugh. When have you ever seen me yield? Fair point. She pursed her lips. But you have never dealt with someone like this. Not comfortably writing articles back in Shanghai. Typing away on a computer. Hu Kuei plays dirty. Will go harder. That is why I will not use brute force. I will let Lawyer Fong handle things in court. 10 days is all it takes, thanks to her uncle, Justice Xiao. Luyan stared at me. Your connections, are they strategic genius, or is it just pure luck? Bit of luck. Notebook paused, and then flipped it open again. What about Wanjifu? During these 7 days, the design team already headed back to Shuchong to plan. Not just sit on our hands. And we will not sit on our hands. I returned to my desk. The main construction will wait for permits, but prep starts now. Clear the debris, tear down the walls, and you and I will watch how this unfolds next. Redesign all the electricity and plumbing. Come along with me to watch how this immediate counterattack unfolds. I will not let one man's ego freeze my project. Then I looked at Shinli, who quietly absorbed everything like a highly elegant sponge. Shinli, find Hu Kuei's address right now. Return the Mao Tai liquor and the crab coupons untouched, exactly as they arrived, but add a little gift from us. Standard business courtesy package. Not say a single word when you deliver it. Leave it there and walk away. He will understand. In local business, returning a bribe with a polite smile elegantly says you have already figured them out. I'm not playing games and I am not afraid. Mao Tai liquor and crabs are going back to his house, and Hu Kuei would soon learn that the new guy in town has a lawyer whose uncle runs the entire courthouse. Checkmate in 7 days. By 3 in the afternoon, Shinli was already on her way out with the boxes, untouched liquor, and sealed coupons. Plus, she was carrying an equivalent gift from our side. Guana liquor and premium cigarettes. Keep your eyes on this brilliant move. No debts, no obligations, just a pure power play. Queuing construction materials was located on the industrial street of the old district. Bricks and steel stacked in the yard. They gave off a total vibe of controlling the entire county. The guard stopped her, but she mentioned Yuning Investments. 1-minute phone call, they let her pass. Young receptionist in the company grey polo told her Hu Kuei was out. No problem, Shinli calmly replied. Mao Tai and the coupons on the counter grew beside our gift, saying their boss had sent this to our firm. Mr. Liu appreciates the gesture, but our company policy strictly prohibits accepting any external gifts. We are returning the originals, and the package next to them is our courtesy. Please hand it over to him. She turned around and walked away in silence. In her rearview mirror, she saw the young receptionist already making a call. Rumors fly fast around this county. 4 in the afternoon, Zhao was already calling me, sounding absolutely terrified. Mr. Liu, did you return Hu Kuei's gift? Yes, I replied. The trembling voice showed that the whole county already knew. Hu Kuei's people are posting petty call-outs on social media, saying stuff like some people just do not understand the basic rules. Reject the toast and you drink the punishment. It was totally expected. I know what you are thinking right now, but returning an untouched gift is the ultimate insult you can deliver. Literally means his bribe is not even worth opening, completely crushing his pride and destroying his reputation. Hu Kuei was not going to take this, but I needed to make him squirm. Comfortable people are usually way too patient. Desperate people make sloppy mistakes. Hung up, and Lu Yuan walked in carrying 2 glasses of water. Right across from me, crossed her legs, and started chewing melon seeds like a tireless little machine. Brother, serious question here. Aren't you worried? Hu Kuei has run this entire county for 20 years. He has connections in the police, the government, and city offices. You basically slapped him with his own Mao Tai. If he plays dirty, thought about it. As long as he follows the rules, I can counter his every move. But if he tries anything illegal, He had better think twice about the kind of person he is crossing. Handed me a handful of already peeled seeds. Real talent is definitely preparing snacks. I took them. By the way, from this point on, we will be making a lot of corporate acquisitions. Financial officer, you must thoroughly audit every deal, look into backgrounds, debts, and everything else. Do not want any surprises like hidden mortgages. Next morning at 9 o'clock sharp, Fong Yu walked into the county courthouse wearing a sharp black suit and holding her briefcase like a weapon. There were 4 service windows and only 2 were open. This local justice system was as paralyzed as the economy. Months went by without any real lawsuits. Handed the paperwork at window 2 to an aging, near-retirement judge. He calmly flipped through the pages. Plaintiff, Lu Ming. Defendant, Queuing Construction Materials Group. Case, mortgage cancellation. Amount 3 million. The judge glanced at Fong Yu over the rim of his glasses. Attorney Fong, the facts of this case are clear and the evidence is sufficient for an expedited trial. She slid the bank statements across the counter. Defendant's loan has already been paid in full. Here are the payment records and matching dates. Everything lines up. We are requesting an immediate preliminary injunction. Bond is ready, and trust me, you and I will not want to miss the next chapter. Her lips moved in silence. She said nothing. You and I both know Fong Yu's identity was no secret in this courtroom. Judge Xiao's niece, a top-tier law graduate. 8 years in this county and 0 losses. And not because of her family connections, but because she locked down every piece of evidence. And if you wanted to help the opponent, there was nothing to grasp. Not build cases, she built fortresses. Documents accepted, the old man announced. The elderly man carefully arranged the paperwork. The asset preservation order goes out this afternoon on a fast track. Fong Yu nodded, turned, and walked right out. She sent me a quick text. Lawsuit filed, and the preservation order hits our building this afternoon. Downstairs, Shun Li and I were reviewing the Wanjifu project. She had sketched a Gantt chart on the whiteboard. 35 days of renovation split into 6 phases: demolition, plumbing inspection, structural reinforcement, main construction, equipment installation, and finishing touches. Pay attention here. First 3 phases can run parallel with the property transfer, she said, pointing to the first 2 weeks. Cleanup and demolition do not need official ownership. Inspections destroy nothing. No permits required. Everything after absolutely requires the completed transfer. I quickly did the math in my head. Fong Yu gets the order in 7 days, the transfer takes 5 more. 12 days max for Wanjifu to be mine. 12 plus 23 construction days equals 35. Exactly. That is the Hongyuan deadline. There's a razor-thin margin, but it will work. Enough people. Demolition team ready, 12 men. Tomorrow morning, she replied, wiping a task off the board. Plumbing and electrical inspection crew arrives the day after tomorrow from Shuchong. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. A text from Fong Yu. Read it and slid it to Shun Li. Raised an eyebrow. The lawyer is fast. Her speed is not what matters, the court is. Now you and I are going to see how Hukwaya reacts to this. His reaction came much sooner than expected. 5:20 that afternoon at the Queuing Materials office, Hukwaya received a call from the court. The asset preservation order was now officially issued. Mortgage rights over the Wanjifu land were officially frozen. Simply put, he could no longer use, transfer, or negotiate that mortgage. That nail he drove into the Wanjifu land was now sealed in judicial concrete. He can't pull it out, can't drive it deeper, and can do absolutely nothing with it. Hukwaya hung up. His ashtray was overflowing with crushed cigarette butts, 5, 6, maybe even more. Graveyard of pure tension. Grabbed his phone, searched for an unnamed contact, just a number, and dialed instantly. 3 rings. Old who? What is up? Mahjong tiles clicked in the background. The hang, there is a quick court case. Can you delay it for me? Total silence. The clicking of Mahjong continued for a second, then stopped completely. What case? $1 million mortgage termination dispute. Plaintiff is some young guy named Lu. The lawyer is Fong Yu. Mahjong stopped. It only took him 2 seconds to completely change his tone. Fong Yu is on this. Yes, a long heavy sigh followed. The sound of someone being asked to jump into direct danger. Old who, I cannot help you with this. Somewhere in Yinming County, a man with a white Range Rover and 20 years of influence was left alone in his smoke-filled office, feeling for the first time what it meant to look for allies and find no one. Meanwhile, I was eating sunflower seeds in my building, waiting patiently with a lawyer whose uncle ruled the court, and 360 million yuan sitting in my bank account. Sometimes the universe chooses favorites, and trust me, today it chose us.